Even neither are you. You ain't gonna do that either, Billy. That's just fucking bollocks.
Trust then.
My channel's much wilder than my brother's channel or whatever. But I wouldn't do that myself, innit? I don't know what
No.
my brother's definitely not going to be on that. I really don't.
Trust then to what, Wendy? I haven't said anything that wasn't true. I haven't started calling people paedophiles or nonces or anything like other people have, Wendy. Based on nothing, based on bullshit, based on hearsay.
Do you know what, Billy? I'll email you, mate. I'll email you. Alright, don't worry about it. It's fucking bullshit, that, mate. That's fucking bullshit, bro. Yeah.
The truth is what it
That's
is.
just a rumor.
Anyway.
No, it's not just a rumor,
Anyway,
Wendy.
regardless of all that, I thought you won a debate, you know what I mean? You know?
It's on
Man
video,
wants to
if
make
that
other
helps.
things of it. Well, he's a fucking dickhead.
Well, basically, yeah, man was trying to do anything but this stuff that
we didn't even get past what he considered, what is actually, not what he kept saying, what do you consider, what do you think? What is...
That's because he's such a mug, he couldn't even say what he was thinking, could he, lady? He couldn't even say it.
There was no debate then, it was just a
No.
draw.
And the best bit was it was his video that fucking crucified his debate anyway.
his own video says to him about.
No, my own video actually showing the law, what it states quite clearly in the law.
His own video fucking sunk his own boat.
And people being trafficked.
No, what it proved then is that you're a fucking idiot, right? And I don't know what this is. I've just found it, okay? And it's called Oh Wendy Woo. And funnily enough, I already had a video lined up for tonight that I'd done this afternoon. So you doing this, Mr. Tarragon, or whatever the hell your name is, right, proves my point. But let's see what else you got to say.
Right. And you know what? Everyone keeps making a mistake on this argument, right? Like,
We can barely hear it, of
no,
course.
it's not like I'm saying we should let anyone and everyone claim asylum or whatever in it, yeah? Because there obviously isn't enough room in the UK for the whole world to claim asylum, and technically the whole world just wouldn't claim asylum in the UK anyway. Yeah. But with the safe routes of passage and being able to screen people before they even make the journey or some sort of stuff like that, then want that to stop and avoid loads of people getting in these things, risking their lives. Literally say that. I say that every single show when we speak about this asylum stuff. That stuff doesn't ever get heard. Right. I just hear that when they're speaking about what the laws, rules and regulations is, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one time where I've said, yo, differently, there should just be unlimited flow of illegal immigrants, asylum seekers, migrants, or whatever to the UK. The reasons I give is for the reasons that the government gives for why migrants are coming to the UK, legal migrants, why asylum seekers are allowed to travel to the UK the way they travel to the UK, and why there's no return policies anymore. Because there actually was a return policy.
Yeah, but also, well, it's easy to look at, right? So apparently it is not illegal to
French police to guard Calais.
Found out that what you've been saying,
immigrant breaking into a truck would be a criminal. So I don't know, mad.
I don't know. The way that it's been solved is like.
Oh, you're such a fool, Tarragon. You are such an empty-headed Tommy Todd. Yeah, because you are an actual, like, you're a fanatic, aren't you, when it comes to Mr. Robinson? Oh, we are fanatical. We're fanatical. You really are thick. So, I mean, why he's bothered even making that is beyond me. I don't understand. I don't know what he's trying to do, or is he underhandedly trying to threaten me, maybe? Is that what's going on here, Mr. Tarragon? Is that it? Because if it is, it's just not going to work. because I can't be easily threatened, not by you or anyone else, because I don't do anything but speak the truth. So, hi, my own love. Hi, Cheeky Chopped. Oh, hello, muckers. What's this? Goodness me. And there was me thinking Mr. Den would be the kind of individual to be right up Miss Wu's street. Look, Den Tarragon, I can take or leave him. He's not a problem. He becomes a problem when he invites somebody to debate him and fails with the debate. Yeah, then he becomes a problem. He's an idiot that shows us up, as far as I'm concerned. So, because there's your answer for that one. So let me. All right, hello. So what this is, not yet. So here's one I made earlier, as they used to say in, I think it was Blue Peter. What, something like that. To explain, right, for those of you that don't want to learn, and for those of you that are not interested in debate or anything like that, you know, don't hang about, you know, because this explains what I was saying last night on Veli's stream. And what I've learned, I don't like. Okay, what I've learned over the last 24 hours, I'm not very happy about, and I don't know how we're going to get round it as a country. Yeah, I think that's the way to say it. But as for Tarragon, we don't need people like him. He's not the answer to anything, as far as I'm concerned. And he needs to butt out, you know. Making silly little videos you can hardly hear. I mean, literally, he's in his car making a video. What's that about? Aren't you meant to be driving? So anyway, so here we go with what I've learned. And I will be watching out for questions in the chat if there is any. Yeah? Anyone? Any questions? But, yeah. This is me attempting to show people that asylum seekers are not actually breaking the law. No, far from it. And I'll show you why. So in 1951, the UN Refugee Convention is a key legal document that protects refugees and defines their rights and obligations. Okay. The convention defines a refugee as someone who is unable or unwilling to return to their country of origin because of a well-founded fear of prosecution. And I do hope I don't need to repeat that. The convention relating to the status of refugees, also known as the 1951 Refugee Convention or the Geneva Convention of 28th of July 1951, a United Nations multilateral treaty that defines who a refugee is and sets out the rights of individuals who are guaranteed asylum, who are granted asylum, and the responsibility of the nations that grant asylum. Now, this is the convention, and this is the paper that is causing all the problems right now. So for us to be saying that these are so-called asylum seekers are illegal is in fact wrong. They're not, which for me puts a lot of things right, because over the years I've always wondered why politicians would say, yes, we need to go and get the criminal gangs that are putting these people in dinghies and putting their lives at risk, I'd be thinking, well, no, you just need to turn them around. The dinghies, turn them around, you see. But no, you see, they can't. These criminal gangs have been very clever, because once they're in the sea and once they get into British waters, never mind on British land, once they get into British waters, right, we are obliged by this convention to pick them up. And once they say they are seeking asylum, we are obliged to take them in. If they say, oh, we want to come to Great Britain because we want a job, no. But this is what's going on. They'll use all kinds of excuses like, oh, I'm gay, and in my country, someone being gay, you know, I'm fearful of going back to my country, so I need to seek asylum in the UK. All kinds of excuses are getting used, but the actual act of getting in a dinghy and coming to this country, it's not illegal. This convention of 1951 says so. Now, I'm sure I can't be the only one who knows about this convention. So to the likes of Den Targan, I want to say this. Yeah, I did agree with Ellie, because I got my lazy self to actually go and look at what the truth was about different treaties that have been signed. It's got nothing to do with Theresa May. It's got nothing to do with anyone. I mean, this is, how can I put it? This convention in 1951 was a response, once again, to the Holocaust. It's why it was made and why countries were asked to sign it. Now, not every country signed it. Oh, no. Let me see. Convention relating the status. Convention relating the status. I did see, you'll have to bear with me. I did see who didn't sign, the convention. So here we have the signatory list. How many countries have signed the 1951 Refugee Convention? 149, yeah, are parties to the 1951 Convention and or the 1967 Protocol. To learn more and view which countries are signatories, explore the UNHCR Refugees Treaty and Legislation Dashboard, right? Is the UK a signatory in the 1951 Refugee Convention? Now let's see. The UK is one of the original signatories of the 1951 Refugee Convention, which recognises that refugees may have to enter a country of asylum irregularly, which means coming across the channel in a dinghy. Yeah, they're not actually breaking the law if they're seeking asylum. Now, this has been a long argument, hasn't it? Yeah. And to think all this time, it goes back to 1951. So, who are the non-signatories of the 1951 Refugee Convention? So these are the countries that did not sign it. And I must say, I'm not shocked. I am not shocked that these countries did not sign the signatory. No, that's wrong. Did not sign the convention, the thing. I'm just checking I went live there. Yeah, I did. Recording it. So, important non-signatory states in South and Southeast Asia includes India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, and Indonesia. In other regions of the world, non-signatories include Eritrea, Libya, Mongolia, and Cuba. Now, isn't that strange? So all these countries do not have to take in asylum seekers or refugees, whatever you want to call them, right? But most of these countries are where the so-called asylum seekers and refugees are coming from. I mean, the fact that India didn't sign it, when India is a massive country, you've got to laugh, haven't you? Bangladesh, Pakistan even, no, you're not allowed to go there and seek asylum. Sri Lanka, Malaysia. I mean, who's shocked by those names? I know I'm not. A new UK asylum bill would be in clear breach of international law, right? And these are the laws that we have to follow, whether we like it or not. So, has Turkey signed the 1951 Refugee Convention? The Republic of Turkey is party to the 1951 Refugee Convention, but maintains a geographical limitation under Article 8 of the Convention, where it is not obliged to apply the Convention to refugees from outside Europe. Now, isn't that nice? So, yes, they've signed it, but they put like a clause in there where if these people are coming from outside Europe, i.e. countries like Eritrea, Pakistan, Bangladesh, well, they don't have to no, they don't count. They're not having them, right? So, as always, it's good old Europe, right, that have mainly signed this thing. I say, what is the difference between the 1951 Convention and the 1967 Protocol? The 1967 Protocol removes the geographical and time limits that were part of the 1951 Convention. These limits initially restricted the Convention to persons who became refugees due to events occurring in Europe before January the 1st, 1951. So what they were saying, I don't know. So what they were basically, what this protocol, the 1967 Protocol stands for, is the original 1951 thing was to get the Jewish people and other displaced persons from the war, if you like, accepted into other countries. So what they did in 1967, they sneakily added a protocol, right, which we all signed again, so that it would also encompass the rest of the misplaced persons from any area, any war, any persecution, anywhere. Do you see what they did there? Yeah. So unfortunately, that's why we're tied into it still to this day. Unbelievable. I'm so pissed off. It's unbelievable. There's nothing to laugh at. I don't find this funny whatsoever. Is Germany a signatory to the 1951 Refugee Convention. Let's have a look. Germany is one of the first 6 states worldwide that signed the 1951 Convention on the Status of Refugees. And it became a state party to the international instrument on December the 1st, 1953. The UNHCR has been present in the country since 1951. Now, if you want to think back, which country opened the floodgates first to all of the people from those countries who did not sign the signatory? Remember this. Those countries did not sign this convention. No, the status of refugees thing. No. It was Germany, wasn't it? Germany was the first one to start letting them all in. Is the 1951 convention legally binding? Let's see if this... the agreement is considered the centerpiece of international refugee protection and legally binds country signatories to recognize and protect people who flee their countries of nationality because of persecution or conflict. Let that sink in, you know. So they're not actually breaking the law when they're coming across. How Saudi Arabia signed the Refugee Convention? As a non-signatory in the 1951 Refugee Convention and its 1967 protocol, Saudi Arabia is often portrayed as a state that refuses engagement with the global legal norms and supporting institutions focused on the protection of refugees. In other words, no, Saudi didn't sign it either. But, oh, Germany did. France, you can guarantee France did. We did. Has Poland... now this should be interesting. In September 1991, Poland signed on the 1951 Convention and its Now, yeah, they seem to have signed it, but Poland will not let them in. Right. So what Poland do is they do not literally get on their land because Poland's landlocked, isn't it? So with Poland, they can deal with it because they stop them from actually getting on their land. Right. I understand that. Has Afghanistan signed the convention? We are pleased to announce that Afghanistan has ascended to the 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees and its protocol. That was 2005 when, for some odd reason, they signed it. How many countries signed the 1967 protocol? The protocol relating to the status of refugees is a key treaty in international refugees law. It entered into force on the 4th of October, 1967, and 146 countries are now parties. So 164 countries signed the protocol. State parties to the 1951 Convention, Convention relating to the status of refugees, conventions relating to blah, blah, blah. What else should I put in here? So we can get to the actual. So there you have it. because Great Britain signed that convention in 1951, the people that are crossing on those dinghies, once they get into British waters and they claim asylum, they're not actually breaking the law. They're not illegal. That's why they throw their papers and everything else into the sea, because they want to claim asylum, making up whatever excuse they want. But lawfully, there's not a damn thing can be done. So, UK asylum. You know, and Dan, I would have thought you were able to do this 10-minute research, if you like. It's not fucking hard. UK asylum seekers by nationality. Asylum seekers, get the facts. Yeah, get your facts. So let's have a look about the facts for asylum seekers. Truth about asylum. People seeking asylum and no, whatever. People seeking asylum and refugees. Who's who? Refugee. The definition of a refugee, according to the 1951 United Nations Convention relating to the status of refugees, a person who, owing to a well-founded fear of being persecuted for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, or political opinion, is outside the country of his nationality and is unable for, or owing to such fear, is unwilling to avail himself of that persecution of that country, or who, not having nationality and being outside the country, of his former habitual residence, as a result of such events, is unable or owing to such fear is unwilling to return. So it more or less says anybody who signed that seat, anyone can come, anyone by any means, right? In the UK, a person becomes a refugee when the government agrees that an individual who has applied for asylum meets the definition in the Refugee Convention that will recognize that a person as a refugee and issue them with a refugee status documentation. Usually refugees in the UK are given 5 years leave to remain as a refugee. This is unbelievable. They must then apply for further leave, although their status as a refugee is not limited to 5 years. No. A person who has left their country of origin and formally applied for asylum in other countries, but whose application has not yet concluded, wherever possible, we prefer to describe someone as a person seeking asylum, as we feel the term asylum seeker is dehumanizing. Yes, and the term asylum seeker is dehumanizing. Migrant, someone who has moved to another country for reasons such as to find work. A refused asylum applicant, a person whose asylum application has been unsuccessful and who has no other claim for protection awaiting a decision. Some people who have their case refused voluntary return home. Others are forcibly returned. For some, it's not safe or practical to return until conditions in their country change. help us support refugees to rebuild their lives. Oh. Developing countries, not the UK, look after most of the world's refugees. 72% of refugees live in countries neighbouring their country of origin. Well, yeah, that to me, that's a refugee. Yeah. At the end of 2001, around 89.3 million people were forcibly displaced across the world. Of those, 27.1 million were refugees, whilst 53.2 million were internally displaced within their country of origin. 72% of the world's refugees are living in countries neighbouring their country of origin, often in developing countries. Yeah, well, that's what I've always thought a refugee is, to be honest. Over 6.8 million people have fled the conflict in Syria, and many more are displaced inside the country. Turkey is the biggest refugee hosting country in the world. I'll give them a medal then. At the end of 2022, Turkey was providing safety to 3.7 million Syrian refugees. By the end of February 2021, the UK had resettled 20,319 refugees from Syria under the Vulnerable Persons Resettlement Scheme. This includes 239 refugees who were resettled prior to the target of 20,000 being set. Okay. 1%. The UK is home to approximate 1% of the 27.1 million refugees who were formerly displaced around the world. Well, I'm sorry, but this is like a get at the UK for some reason. We're a small country. We're not as big as the other countries. Do you know what I mean? So what do they expect? People seeking asylum. 41% of displaced people across the world are children. Here we go. The top 10 refugee producing countries in 2001 all have poor human rights records or ongoing conflict. People seeking asylum are fleeing from these conflicts and abuses, looking for safety. In 2021, more than 2/3 of the refugees across the world came from just 5 countries: Syria, Venezuela, Afghanistan, South Sudan, Myanmar. I know what it is, but I can't say it right. Right. There is no such thing as an illegal or bogus person seeking asylum under international law. Everyone has the right to apply for asylum in any country that has signed the 1951 Convention and to remain there until the authorities assess their claim. It is recognized in 1951 Convention that people fleeing persecution may have to use irregular means in order to escape and claim asylum in another country. There is no legal way to travel to the UK for the specific purpose of seeking asylum. Well, actually, did I read that right? There is no legal way to travel to the UK for, oh, they mean like getting on an aeroplane and just getting off at the airport, I suppose. That's what they're talking about. The 1951 Refugee Convention guarantees everyone the right to apply for asylum. It has saved millions of lives. No country has ever withdrawn from it. Now, What it means by there is no legal way, right, is, in other words, you can't get on an aeroplane from Afghanistan without an airport, without a passport, and travel to the other end, to the UK, get off there and try and claim asylum. Because you wouldn't get on the plane in the first place in Afghanistan if you did not have a passport. That's what they're moaning about, right? But as for getting in a dinghy in France, right, throwing every document you've got before you, not even taking documents with you. Once you get into British waters, you are not breaking the law. You are not an illegal asylum seeker. No. There is nothing in international law to say that refugees must claim asylum in their, here we go, in the first country they reach. Our European regulation allows countries in the EU to return an adult asylum applicant to the first European country they've reached. This means that countries on the edge of Europe have a responsibility for a lot more people seeking asylum than others. Some of the countries through which people travel to get to Europe are unsafe for some. Many have not signed the Refugee Convention, meaning that people who remain there will not get international protection and be able to rebuild their lives. Right, let's read that again. There is nothing in international law to say that refugees must claim asylum in the first country they reach. A European regulation allows countries in the EU to return an adult asylum applicant to the first European country they reached. This means that countries on the edge of Europe have responsibility for a lot more people seeking asylum than others. So what I think is going on, because this thing with the dinghies really didn't blow up until we Brexit, when we decided to leave the EU. And I think this is punishment for Great Britain from Europe. So say, oh yeah, you want to leave? Well, this is what's happening. And it's been going on for 4 years now, probably before that as well, only we didn't know about it. And they know that these people who are getting in the dinghies, right, they're not, that we need to stop calling them illegal asylum seekers, because they're not. Once they get, that's why the Navy literally picks them up in British waters, because we are bound by these laws, right, that we signed right back in 1951 to pick these people up. The problem begins when they get brought back to Great Britain. They've got no papers, no identity, nothing. So nobody knows who they are. No, they even lie about what country they've come from, so they can build up a whole new identity. Yeah. Now, what they get is an asylum seeker can get given a house. They don't pay rent. They don't pay council tax. They don't pay for electric or gas. They get £40 a week. But remember, they pay for nothing at all. And they get £40 a week. And some people have gone to the trouble of working that out to a daily basis, right? Well, if you're living and you get food free, housing free, electric and gas, council tax free, and you get £40, and you come from, you're a refugee, asylum seeker, whatever. Why are you complaining? Oh, here we go. Look. Refugees make a huge contribution to the UK. About 1,200 medically qualified refugees are recorded on British Medical Association's database. It is estimated that it costs around 25,000 to support a refugee doctor to practice in the UK. Training a new doctor is estimated to cost between 200,000 and 250,000. Now, this little bit here, right, also makes sense from what I've learned previously, is that doctors living in this country cannot get a job. British doctors cannot get employed because people who are coming in as refugees are getting retrained, right, at the cost of £25,000, right? Whereas someone to be trained as a doctor in this country, it would cost £200,000 and £250,000. So there's our answer to the NHS and doctors. There it is. So we've been right all along that it's cheaper to employ somebody from another country than it is to employ someone from this country as a doctor. And that's why they do it. Oh dear. You see, I just don't think we take enough time to read these documents. The majority of asylum claims are successful. Oh, yippee. 75% of the initial decisions made in 2022 resulted in a grant of asylum or other forms of protection. Because obviously, everyone who comes off those boats, you know, yeah, whatever. The UK asylum system is strictly controlled and complex. It's very difficult for people seeking asylum to provide evidence required to be granted protection. Despite these challenges, the majority of asylum claims are successful. In the year ending June 2022, 76% of the initial decisions resulted in a grant of asylum or other form of protection. The Home Office can take months or even years to make a decision on an asylum case, and there is a growing backlog of cases. At the end of June 2022, there were over 117,000 people awaiting an initial decision on their asylum case. Since 2005, most people recognized as refugees are only given permission to stay in the UK for 5 years. This makes it difficult for them to make decisions about their future, to find and make definite plans for life in the UK. But you know, what I find really interesting is this bit, the doctor bit. About 1,200 medically qualified refugees are recorded on British Medical Association's database. It's estimated that it costs around 25,000 to support a refugee doctor to practice in the UK. Training a new doctor is estimated to cost 200,000 to 250,000. There's our answer. There is our answer to that to the question. What else does it tell us? People seeking asylum do not get large handouts from the state. Lies. £7. People seeking asylum are often living on Home Office support, equivalent to under £7 a day. Well, add that. Say it's £6. Remember, everything's free, but they get £6 a day, 7 days a week. People seeking asylum do not come to the UK to claim benefits. Most know nothing about welfare benefits before they arrive and have no expectation that they will receive financial support. Okay. And most people seeking asylum are living in poverty and experiencing poor health and hunger. Most families are not able to pay for basics such as clothing, powdered milk, and nappies. Okay. Almost all people seeking asylum are not allowed to work and are forced to rely on state support. But that doesn't add up with that. If they're not allowed to work, how come there's about 1,200 medically qualified refugees as recorded on the British Medical Association database? Anyway, I'm getting angry now. Okay. Almost all people seeking asylum are not allowed to work and are forced to rely on the state. This is as little as £6.43 a day. Give people seeking asylum the right to work. Yeah, because no, they don't work, do they? Yes, they do. Make a donation and campaign. What's it say on here? Okay, so we've just read all that out, right? I found that very interesting about the doctor bit. Yeah, so they've come over, right? They've got a little bit of knowledge, say, so they get trained up a bit more for 25 grand and then get shoved into our hospitals as doctors. Doesn't it just give you faith? And then our own doctors, right? Our own doctors can't get a job because they've been replaced by these cheaper doctors. Yeah? Think about it. So here we go. What's this then? Asylum seekers, the UK and Europe. Right. Migrants and asylum seekers have been crossing the Mediterranean Sea in record numbers since the summer of 2015. The mass movement of people has a big issue across the world. Yeah, doesn't it just? The migrant and refugee crisis. And the majority of asylum seekers were men. More men than women and children applied for asylum for the first time in 2015. Overall, almost 3/4 of first-time asylum seekers of all ages were male. How nice. Asylum seekers in Europe, 29% are children, 17% are women. What is this cookie thing? Get out of the way. A massive 54% are men. Wow. Where are asylum seekers from? So let's have a look. Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Kosovo, Albania, Pakistan. Pakistan's one of those countries, you know, that didn't sign up to the 1951 Convention of asylum seekers and refugees. Yeah. Oh, Eritrea, another one. Nigeria, Iran, other. Oh, look at other. So here you've got Syria, right? Boom. Other is just as big, nearly, as Syria. So where are they? Who are these? Other. Pakistan, Albania, Afghanistan. But look at other. Asylum applications by population. God, that's hard to read. Hungary, Germany, Finland, UK. Is that? Oh, just a little blue for the UK, look. Yeah. That one's boring. That doesn't get to what I want to get to. That's boring. So, yeah. Asylum seekers. UK asylum seekers. Benefits. Let's see what they get. Right. Asylum seekers in the queue, maybe, in the UK, may be eligible for the following benefits. Self-catered accommodation at £49, that's £50 per week per person. Catered accommodation at £8.86 per week per person. Pregnant women and children under 4 additional payments may be available. So, in other words, everywhere they go, they get everywhere to live free of charge because of the convention that was signed in 1951. How much benefits do asylum seekers get in the UK? They usually get £49.18 for each person in the household. Oh, that's each person in the household. Okay. This will help you pay for things you need, like food, clothing, toiletries. Your allowance will be loaded onto a debit card. You'll be able to use this card to get cash from a machine. Okay. Do asylum seekers get free housing in the UK? If you have claimed asylum and do not have anywhere to live and or money to support yourself, you may be able to get asylum support. This is provided by the Home Office and includes free housing or basic living expenses. Oh, how lovely. Yeah. Do asylum seekers get free NHS? You are exempt from paying for the NHS healthcare if you are granted refugee status in the UK. Seeking asylum or temporary or humanitarian protection until your application, including appeals, is decided, receiving support from the Home Office under Section 95 of the Immigration and Asylum Act 1999. Yes, indeed. But you see, they go on about these immigration and asylum acts and everything else. Nothing, right, comes before that 1951 Act, right, of refugees and asylum seekers. It all goes back to that. Refugees and entitlements, blah, blah, de, blah. Facts about asylum. Claiming universal credit, applying for benefits. So much here. Asylum, money and practical help. Asylum and refugees resettlement in the UK. How do asylum seekers stay in the UK? Oh, 5 years. So once, just remember, so they get picked up by the Navy or whoever, and they know for a fact that they are going to be allowed to stay in this country for 5 years, whether or not. They just know it. Can asylum seekers bring family to the UK? Your partner or child can apply to stay with you in the UK if both of the following are true. You have protection status, permission to stay as a refugee or person with humanitarian protection in the UK. They can prove they had a relationship with you before you fled your country to get protection. Oh, look. Yeah. It's all about protection, isn't it? Do asylum seekers get free bus passes? Let's have a look at this. A patchwork of grants and support available for education, disabilities, and those with complex needs is often in practice not accessed by asylum seekers. I don't believe that. In November 2023, the Scottish Government introduced the free bus travel for asylum seekers at the cost of £2 million. Good old Scotland. What happens if you marry an asylum seeker in the UK? So you can hang on. So can an asylum seeker marry a British citizen in the UK? There is nothing to stop a British citizen and an asylum seeker from getting married in the UK if the relationship is genuine. Where there may be issues, if the UKBA are looking to deport you from the country. So when you first get off the boat and then you get everything given to you, the first thing to do is look for someone to marry, because you won't have been here long enough really for them to think anything. Can marriage stop deportation? Right. Who pays for the asylum seekers? Let's see. Who pays for asylum seekers? The Home Office provides financial support and accommodation to asylum seekers in the UK while their asylum claim is being considered or after it has been refused. This is known as asylum support. But, let's see, type of support, including housing and basic living expenses. Yeah. The Home Office has a statutory obligation to provide eligible asylum seekers with accommodation and to support whilst their application is being considered, which could take 5 to 20 years. And you may be thinking, why is she doing this, right? Well, the reason I'm doing it is because we got to stop calling them illegal. They're not, right? They are not, by law, illegal at all because of that 1951 convention that we signed up to. That's where it goes back to. And that was put in place by the UN, right? Because of the Holocaust. So once again, we have to thank the fucking Nazis, don't we, really? Because it goes right back to that. Because of the Holocaust and what the Nazis did to the refugees. No, to the Jews, sorry. And I guess because a lot of countries wouldn't accept Jewish refugees, right? Because what happened was in 1933, when Hitler declared more or less a genocide on the Jewish people, a lot of Jewish people went from country to country and were denied access. America being one of them. You know, lots of countries denied access. So then the Holocaust happens. Then the war ends. 1950. It makes sense. 1951, the UN, right, decide that's it. It's never going to happen again. We want all these countries to sign up to it. And lo and behold, there you go. And what's happened is people, with the onset of the internet, right, the World Wide Web, if you like, people have found out about these laws and they've used them to their advantage. It doesn't matter whether you or I or Santa Claus likes them. The fact is that legally and lawfully, right, they're not breaking the law. It's as unbelievable as it sounds. They're just not. Because our country signed that convention in 1951. So it makes me wonder why people like Mayor Toosey, Tommy Robinson, Douglas Murray, all of them have never really, you know, they carry on calling them illegal. They're not. If you understand, I mean, these people obviously understand things, but they refuse to use these words. Obviously, they are not illegal. We might not like it, but they're not illegal. What needs to change is that law, that convention that was signed in 1951. We need to come out of it. Because it's that thing in 1951 is the reason why they can come across, get detained as asylum seekers. And they're using it. They're using that little loophole in the law to be lawfully detained as asylum seekers. And as I showed you, they do not have to stay in the first country of safety. Although we have to also say that most real refugees, people who are in real fear of their lives, normally stay in the country right next to their own, because they are in such a state they wouldn't be able to travel that far. Their mind, you know, psychologically, physically, they stay in the next country of safety. But these new asylum seekers, you see, they literally, it's like a fucking lucky bag. They know they have the right to go to any country they want to, apart from the ones who didn't sign that 1951 piece of paper. Pakistan, India, Eritrea, and the other ones. Isn't that funny? Cuba. Isn't it weird how all those countries where all these asylum seekers are coming from did not sign that thing in 1951? But we did, but we need to get out of it. So I hope I'm making myself clear here. We need to stop using the term illegal, because they're not. What they are liars, right? What they are crafty, using a loophole, pretending to be in trouble when they're not, pretending to be afraid when they're not, right? And the government They believe them because they've got no choice. They are obliged by international law to believe that. But if we got out of that convention, if we got out of that international law, we wouldn't have to have any more. We wouldn't be obliged to do what we're doing at the moment. So next I want to talk about so I hope I've made that clear, and I'm going to leave this up for people who may not get it the first time around and want to question it. You can question it all you like, right? You can spend a week questioning it. You won't get past that 1951 Refugee Convention, right? An asylum seeker convention. You won't get past it. It goes right back to then, and it was put in place because of the Holocaust. Therefore, the people we have to thank are the fucking Nazis. Everything goes back to that. Yeah, I'm not happy. I'm pretty damn angry that, you know, how many times have I sat and thought, well, hang on, every time they talk about these illegal asylum seekers, they talk about, yeah, we've got to stop the gangs. And I'm thinking, well, no, you've got to stop the boats. But they can't. Legally, they can't. It's madness. It's an absolute mess. So I want to talk a bit about the disastrous debate between Veli and Den Tarragon. And I call it disastrous because it was whilst watching said debate that I thought, hang on, why is Veli so set on saying they're not illegal, right? I thought, no, he's found something. So that made me go looking, right? And that's when I finally, because we're all lazy, right? We just call them illegal, when in fact they're not. So, okay, I found that bit out. So I won't be calling them illegal anymore. I'll think of another name, but I won't be calling them illegal because actually they're not illegal, as nutty as that sounds. But then I want to move on into the debate because, well, Den Tarragon then decides that for some reason he wants to talk about Veli's brother. Now, I didn't realize they were going to have a debate about Veli's brother. I didn't think the debate was going to be about that, to be quite honest. But I heard, excuse me, I heard Den Tarragon say, your brother went with Ali Dower and filmed Tommy Robinson's house. No. That's a rumour I've heard for quite a few years now. Never give it a second thought. Don't care about it. Right? But there's Mr. Tarragon again, right? More or less trying to underhandedly threaten Veli. And I'm sick to death of this, right? Den, just because you support Tommy Robinson doesn't give you the God Almighty right to underhandedly threaten anyone. Whatever went on, there's only the people that were there know the truth. You don't know the truth. You haven't got a clue about the truth. You proved that last night. You couldn't be bothered to go through and look up about what is illegal and what isn't. And then when you couldn't win, you decided you'd go for Veli's brother. Now, this has got to stop. Because whilst people like Den Tarragon want to underhandedly threaten people who may not like Tommy Robinson. It's not really doing Tommy Robinson any good, is it really? Maybe that's the reason why some people will not support Tommy Robinson, because of these idle threats that get given to people. Who cares if a cameraman, I mean, okay, so if the BBC, Sky, the cameramen get paid to go and do their jobs. Now, I don't know who was there, and you don't, Tarragon, either. And it was years ago, so what's your fucking problem? See, but you get people like him that are so indoctrinated that they think they must protect, you know, Mr. Robinson at all costs. I don't think Tommy Robinson would really care. And if you are a true supporter of wanting things better in this country, neither should you. Den Tarragon is one of them that lives on lies, looks upon anyone who doesn't like Tommy as a threat. I mean, it's quite unbelievably stupid, to be quite honest. Why do you think like that, Den? I don't understand. Why? Do you think Tommy Robinson sits in Spain? Huh? Worrying about the likes of you? Because he doesn't. And that's another thing that pisses me off. You know? That you actually think that he actually cares about each and every one of you. No, he doesn't. The first person he cares about, the only person he really cares about, and it's only human nature that he does so, is himself. He doesn't need little lackeys like you, Den Tarragon, running around making empty, underhanded threats to people that don't support Tommy Robinson. I mean, really. Last year it was people who said nasty things about Danny Tomo. Now it's people that say nasty things about Tommy Robinson. Why? You should be saying nasty things about the government and international treaties that are fucking signed back in 1951. Makes me sick. Because literally, right, if people think that Tommy is the answer to all that ails this country, you are very misguided, deluded people, because he's not. He just happens to be a man of this time that's been able to pick up on the feelings of ordinary people, right? And because not many men like him come around in a lifetime, he has a lot of following, and the following is growing, but it will soon get small and smaller still if people like Den Tarragon carry on threatening people who don't support Tommy Robinson. Den, you didn't do him any favors last night, and you made yourself sound silly and stupid. Do you know that? Because you're totally ignorant of facts. You try, like Veli asked you a question, you try to answer his question with a question. What's that about? Do you know that's got to be the most annoying thing someone can do? You ask a straightforward question, and that person you're asking the question to answers you with another question. Yeah, you're not a politician, Den. You're not that good to be a politician. And I personally would debate you on anything, and I would wipe the floor with you, right? And I wouldn't be as patient as what Veli was. Because when you refuse to answer a question and try answering it with a question, another question, I would just carry on with my evidence and not listen to your stupidity. Do you understand, Tarragon, what I'm saying? I mean, I know that's not your name. But honest to God, I mean, I literally cancelled what me and Jupiter had planned to listen to that so-called debate. I may as well have just gone ahead with it because it was a waste of time. And not looking. So I come to the end of this just as my phone rings, as it always does. All right, so there you have it, guys. I don't know if anyone wants to come on and maybe ask questions or disagree or agree or has even more information. Yeah. I shall put the link there. Oh, that's Jupiter. I shall put the link there. Yeah. So there we go. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to think of another name. What can we call them now? Because they're not illegal then. What can we call them? I think the best thing to call them is so-called asylum seekers. Yeah. Hi, Jupes. Hi, love. Jupiter. Where's she gone? Why can't I hear her?
Panic, it's my audio, it does it all the time. I was trying to give you a link throughout all that, not realising it was a recording.
Oh, I did it this afternoon.
Yeah.
'Cause I was really angry. I've been really angry since I learnt about it.
Yeah, but really they're being a bit clever with the language, aren't they? I mean, technically, yeah, they're right once you claim asylum. But there are some that come and don't claim asylum and run off into the wilderness. They're still illegal.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
my point was getting across that, you know, going right back to 1951, Jupiter, that thing was made, right? And that is why our government, when our government get asked, all they say is, oh, we have to see to the gangs. We have to get the gangs, because they know once those dinghies are in British waters, there's not a damn thing they can do.
Yep, absolutely. Anyway, this is the link I wanted to give you. Let me put it in the private chat. Because the New Culture Forum are talking about the report that's come out.
Oh, right.
Apparently, they've now got conclusive evidence, and it was put in the Telegraph, that actually immigration has been a cost to the UK and there's been absolutely no benefit.
Yeah, I didn't think there would be, to be quite honest.
No, nor did I. That's what my first instinct was to say. But it's still good to have it there, because when everybody starts telling us, oh, yeah, but the NHS this and that, turns out, Wendy, and you'll be interested in that, that's the reason why I wanted you to see it. Turns out only 1% of doctors are actually immigrants. In fact, they give more figures there as well. So you might want to have a look at that in a minute. But I think Dem wants to sort things out. Yes, I'll step aside.
Hello, Dan.
Evening, Wendy.
Evening.
I've missed the beginning, so I'm not really too sure what's been said. But I can go from what I've seen or whatever. The debate I didn't ask for, myself and Trilla was having a discussion. Valley railroaded that discussion and started going on about all this. So there's that point. The Valley's brother thing, it's not a lie, it's true, it's factually correct. If Valley would have asked for evidence, would have put forward the evidence. So I don't know where you're coming from, to be honest.
Well, I'm coming from the fact that he asked you a million. That these immigrants, they're not illegal.
You're just doing what Valley did. It's not my argument. I didn't entertain that argument. I didn't.
Den, I've just spent an
the
hour.
argument to a discussion which has nothing to do with that.
I've just spent an hour showing why they're not illegal. It doesn't matter whether you like it or I like it or Jupiter doesn't like it or doesn't like it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. The fact is that once they get into British waters, they are not illegal.
No, they're illegal until they declare themselves. Actually,
Yeah, well, then they get detained by the.
Yeah. But the minute they declare themselves, they're asylum
I can
seekers.
imagine them going, oh, you know, I seek asylum. Once those words are out of their mouths, that's it. They're legal.
Yep. They're legally allowed to do so.
We've got to understand the reasoning and the way they've done things. They've put things in place to keep them nobody to drown and all that. That's your seaports and your airports. There isn't an immigration office on the beach, is there? So they're expecting you to arrive at the port where the office that they provided is, and then you jump through all the.
That's not the point.
No, so say somebody comes in on the boat and there's no one on the beach. They didn't get intercepted then, and they walk through the streets. As those immigration officers or policemen turn up to arrest them, they can go, I'm seeking asylum, and it will still apply. As long as at the first point of contact, they declare asylum. It's a bit like, you know, when you used to play runouts. You know when you used to play runouts?
I don't know if everyone did or not.
And you used to go, vein lights. It's a bit like that.
Hello?
So, yes, then. So they're not illegal. We'll have to think of another name for them, but it certainly isn't illegal because of that paper that this country signed in 1951 and then the protocol that was signed in 1967.
A lot's changed between then and now, though, hasn't it?
Yes, but countries have still been signing up to that paper that was written in 1951 as late as 1999. It's still in place. It's still very much part of international law. And no one has ever left it.
That's like 25 years previous to where we are now, though, isn't it? A lot's happened in the last 25 years. Would you agree with that, Wendy?
Look, what you've got to understand then is I don't like it, right? I don't like all of this, but you can't argue with fact and truth. And the truth of the matter is that once they say we're seeking asylum, they are no longer considered illegal. And we have to abide by that law because of the treaties that we've signed up to in 1951 and 1967.
Yeah, but we still can revert back to the law, which clearly states that they're expecting you to come through the ports that they've provided. They're not expecting you to wash up on a beach in a dinghy.
Look, they can expect. Look, you're going about it all wrong, right? They can expect what they like, right? They can expect you to do everything right, okay? But say me, you, and Jupiter were in France. We thought, oh, we fancy a little jolly over in Britain, but we can't afford to pay for the ferry, and we haven't got a passport. I know, we'd get on one of those dinghies. As long as we said to the Royal Navy when they pick us up, oh, we're seeking asylum, there's not a damn thing they can do about it.
In fact, even if we go to any other country.
Yeah.
But we've got to prove we're being persecuted.
Well, you don't have to prove it. You just have to say it, Jupes.
Well, you have to say it, and then you get put in the system, but then you'll get an interview, and then they'll check.
Yeah. I'm gay in the country. They don't like gay people.
Technically, with what you're saying, I could say, well, my rights are being infringed because of Keir Starmer, and I want to go to America or whatever, and I want to be an asylum seeker.
Yeah.
But it's not like.
But it is like that. If you made your way to America,
Wendy, Victoria's saying, look this up: the Illegal Immigration Act 2023, which came into law on July the 20th, 2023, introduced changes to the eligibility to claim asylum in the UK. Yeah, but Veli put something up today where they ended that in 2020.
Yeah, it all goes back to
Four.
it all
Yeah.
goes back to 1951. And as long as we are signed up to that treaty in 1951, it's going to remain the same.
Hello.
Hi, Babs Love.
Evening, Bobs.
Asylum. You had to claim asylum in the first safe country that you come across.
No,
So how is
again,
coming
that's
from
another.
Sudan to Britain, where the first safe country that they crossed?
Babs, listen, right? It states in the 1951 piece of paper that, you do not have to go to the next safe country. You can literally go anywhere if you're claiming asylum. You do not have to go to the next safe country.
So they can just pick and choose wherever they go.
Yeah, it's
and-
like a lucky bag. Yeah,
yeah,
basically.
well, it's like, well, Japes, I was going to come on and say about that culture forum thing too, because I listened to that tonight and I was like,
Oh, right.
it's interesting, very interesting.
Hang on, let me.
Yeah.
What I found
Yeah.
interesting in that, what I found interesting in my research.
I
was
put it
how
in
they
your
pick up
private
these-
chat, Theo, didn't I?
Yeah,
I
I've got it, love.
Okay.
Yeah, I have got it. How they pick up on these doctors who were refugees or asylum seekers or so-called asylum seekers, and they train them up for 25 grand, right? And then they put them in our hospitals, and that's why our own doctors who are like halfway through getting trained can't get a job when they're finished, because it's full of all these cheap doctors who are so-called refugees.
Well,
Unbelievable.
You can't make this shit up, Wendy. You can't make this fucking shit up.
So you know when they go on about the nurses are all from Africa, right? In the NHS. Of course they are. Of course they're all from
No,
Africa.
you want to, Wendy, you want to listen to
Watch that
culture
new
forum,
culture
because
forum stuff.
that
Right.
They've
debunks
been lying
all of
to
that.
us, Wendy.
Right,
The figures,
now.
everything. The latest reports have shown.
Is it the BBC and the government won't discuss? Yeah. That
Yep,
must be it.
that's the one.
Yeah. But just for the side chat and that comment, yeah, if I went to America and claimed asylum, they'd have to put me into, if they're part of that convention, they would have to put me into the system. Obviously, once I got the interview, if I'm not being persecuted, they would say that I've illegally entered. But if I was being persecuted, they would uphold it.
Yeah, if you felt persecuted by, say, you feel persecuted by the Keir Starmer and his free speech, you know, all of that's been going on, and you could find your way to America by any means possible, you could claim asylum.
Might give it a try for a laugh.
I think a lot of people might start giving it a try if it gets any worse.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, this will just go round and round. There's the law. There's loads of loopholes which keep appearing here, there, and everywhere. It's just going to be a consistent cycle of events where it's just never really lands anywhere.
Yeah, you're right, Dan. You're right. I mean, Benny will never. I personally, I don't know what you think, Wendy and Jupiter, but I think last night he was a disgrace. I really do think he was a disgrace, and that's just my opinion.
I think you might be a bit biased. Look, I think both of them went into the debate, and it wasn't really a clear debate. I think it was a bit messy. I think the thing.
Any favors bringing his brother up.
It was a shit show. It was a shit show.
On both sides, yeah. I mean, they've really got personal as well, which he didn't need to do. And then at the end, then brought his brother up, which was quite comical. But anyway.
Do you know why I did that though, G-Bot? Because he had my lad on, G-Bot. He put a picture of my lad on there and some stupid video that Eric made or whatever. and I'd made comments saying, you know, I'm not really happy with that or whatever. It's still on there. And I thought, all right, you want to put my
Oh
lad
my
on there,
God, I
make
didn't
out as a
know that.
Nazi and all this. You know, have a bit of that. This is what your brother actually did. He did turn up to Tommy's home. He did. You know, that's
Well,
probably
Yeah, but
why
what
they
you
not
should have
put him
replied
forward,
him yesterday then and said, but it's all right to put my family in danger.
He ran off,
Yeah.
didn't he? He wanted to get back to the block. But,
But
Yeah,
yeah,
he had
he
lots of
shouldn't be doing that
withdrawal
either.
symptoms.
He shouldn't be doing that either. But I'm not getting to get involved. It is your argument with Ellie, not mine. I've got enough on my plate. But yeah, people's got to stop with other people's children's. It's not right.
No. So let's have a listen to this then.
Story that you won't have heard about, almost certainly, this week, actually, Rafe, which you tweeted about, you know, and got huge.
Just shout stop if you want me to stop. Yeah?
Okay.
No
Yeah.
problem.
views from it. This is immigration, isn't it? Again, can you just explain quite what it is that people are missing?
Yes, so we've had damning proof now from the OBR, the Office for Budget Responsibility, which is the government's fiscal watchdog, which has blown to smithereens the argument put forward by the Treasury and successive governments that the sort of mass immigration we've been subjected to in recent years was economically justified. Well, that argument, the economic argument for migration, which was essentially the only argument, has been shown to actually be, rather than an economic necessity, a complete economic catastrophe. By the age of 81, the low-skilled migrants we've invited in their millions will cost individually each taxpayer, each migrant will cost £465,000. In other words, from the very moment that a low-skilled migrant sets foot on British soil, they are a net drain on the economy. And unfortunately, low-skilled migrants constitute the vast bulk of the immigration that have come into this country. So a generation of politicians, both Labour and Tory, have been complicit in the cultural, the social, and now we can say the economic decline of this country. And of course, our viewers will be saying, well, thanks, Sherlock, we've known that for a long time. The fact is, we've now got official, we all knew that, but we now have official confirmation from the OBR, which is a publicly funded body that's basically showing this to be the case. And it really reveals the degree to which we have been lied to by generations of politicians. We were told that, we need to have this mass migration because we need to have those vital doctors and those scientists and those engineers. Well, it turns out of the 3.6 million visas granted in recent years, 0.8% went to doctors, only 0.6% went to scientists and engineers. In fact, only 12% of visas have gone to skilled migrants, and only a tiny portion of those are actually highly skilled. The big takeout from this is that only 5% of migrants are net contributors to the economy as high-skilled earners. In other words, 1 in every 20 migrants in this country is contributing as a high-skilled earner. It is the greatest scandal of our time. And we have seen it. We were told that the trade-offs, the fact that we can see our neighborhoods deteriorating, the fact that we have, imported abhorrent cultural practices to this country, the segregation of our society, those were all necessary trade-offs for the well-funded public services that economic migrants would be able to bring us. Well, I'm sorry, that's been completely exploded.
Exploded, but something, as you say, that should be absolutely scandal number one headline. You actually had to fight to find it. Was this even on any broadcast news?
Well, the mainstream media completely turned a blind eye to this. We've had so much attention, quite rightly, on the Keir Starmer's winter fuel allowance. This is a far bigger story. I mean, this is 1,000 times bigger in terms of the economic cost, because what the OBR is doing here is making projections into the future, and the projection is very bleak because for years people have been saying, we need economic growth through migration. Well, actually, migration is strangling economic growth. For years, people have said, we need to understand why we're having a productivity a low productivity issue in this country. Now we know why. I mean, this is earth-shattering stuff, and the media have completely turned a blind eye to it. The Telegraph did a very good article. There's been some stuff going on in some of the newspapers, but in terms of the mainstream media, a complete and deliberate attempt to try to suppress this.
Yeah, it's quite extraordinary, isn't it? But, well, as you say, people watching might not think it's extraordinary. I would say, actually, when you say, oh, they might be saying, well done, Sherlock, I would have thought that a lot of people, in fact, the way it was framed, a lot of people would have gone along with the economic argument. But I remember that what they would say is, oh, well, I remember Nigel Farage saying it. Oh, well, actually, if it means that our GDP is just slightly less, then I'm happy with, I'll take that hit. Brexiteers would take the hit. If it meant that we didn't have such a change in our society. That also was complete rubbish, actually. I mean, that was totally, it's a wrong framing of the thing. And I'm astonished that actually that no one is actually taking any notice of this.
Yeah, I mean, you still see, even recently, kind of small C Conservatives or even members of the Tory party making this economic case for immigration. We now know from these recent figures that Rafe just said that essentially the immigration debate is over now. We know that it's not of benefit to our society. I think it's going to take a long time for the narrative to change. But yeah, I mean, we've been sold a lie essentially. And even the recent Tory party, the argument that they were making for immigration was all of the things that Rafe was speaking about, that it's a benefit, it's benefit to the NHS, immigrants are the backbone of the NHS. I mean, that's always...
Well, of course they are, because they get paid less and don't say nothing. And another problem is that the mainstream media won't push this. So you get Mr. and Mrs. Joe Smith, who don't look on the internet or anything like that, and they literally believe everything that just comes on the news. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So
this might be why Velly's been saying, oh yeah, but all these jobs that are in the NHS, that's a lie, this, that and the other. Because listen to what she's going to say. It turns out that actually they haven't been supporting the NHS at all. Let's listen.
Said, I mean, even on Question Time recently, it's been said it's kind of like a myth now that everybody just believes in. It's ingrained into their brains that the NHS wouldn't work without immigrants. Well, these recent figures show that last year only 3% of immigrants ended up working in the NHS, and of those that are highly skilled, as Rafe said, that are doctors, it's less than 1%. So what we're seeing in real time is, I think, all of the sort of mainstream narratives are crumbling around us, not just immigration, but many things, the NHS and all sorts of things. And I guess the question is, what do we do now? What's next?
Well, they'll crumble quietly, won't they, as Rafe has just said. And if we're talking about immigrants in the NHS, there was a story a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, about preferential treatment because of pro-Palestine ministers who are pro-Palestine. So there's one thing. I think this is not only a big lie, it's the lie, isn't it? It's the lie over the last 30 years, because on top of it, it's a foundation where all the other lies work. So if you can sell this, even though we know it's not true, but we don't have the data to prove it, okay? If you can sell this, then you can sell genderism. You can sell decolonization. You can sell, the desire to kind of dehomogenize the culture, because we need to be dehomogenized, and wicked white people need brown people coming in, or people from different kinds of cultures. So all of that stuff, all of the stuff that is built on the fundamental lie, all of a sudden falls down. The problem is, as I say, it will fall quietly, and nobody, apart from people like us, nobody will talk about it. We've already said that the BBC, Channel 4, ITV, all of those outlets, they're just going to let it go. Why are they going to let it go? Because it's fundamental to everything they believe. And this is what people do, isn't it? They carry on with their beliefs. It's not easy to let something go. They'll just keep it quiet, and we'll carry on, and we'll keep being fed lies.
Apparently the OBR, the Office of Budgetary
Responsibility.
hardly a kind of right-wing head-banging organisation. I have to say, it is quite odd they've come out with this. Right
So
at this
stop,
time.
Wendy.
Anyway, they apparently.
Yeah.
So what I think has happened is, years ago, we did have the illegal immigrants going into the black market and everything else, right? And we've still got them going into it, but they're not been going into the NHS. Because notice she said last year's figures. She didn't say for the last 5 years or the last 10 years or the last 50. Yeah. So you are quite correct. All that was happening. But they've seen a change in the trend of it. And notice that the NHS has collapsed, by the way, as well.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
But I think it's a deliberate thing to privatise it, to be honest.
Yeah, so do I.
Wendy. I believe
So do
that.
I.
Yeah.
I think it's all part of the agenda. But they can't no longer say that we need them for the NHS or for any other industry in this country. What they're basically saying is that it's been so detrimental that every single immigrant that we let into this country is costing the taxpayer £465,000 over a lifetime, an average lifetime of up to 81 years. So that's disgusting, Wendy. That's absolutely disgusting. And that is something that we shouldn't be having to do when we've got old people having their fuels cut. We've got people that are homeless. We've got people that can't get into proper schools. You can't get a dentist. You can't. The NHS is effectively completely collapsed.
Yeah,
and we're suffering all this. And we've now finally got the report that proves that when they sit there and they go, "Oh yeah, but your country wouldn't be able to survive without us."
Oh yes, we would. Yeah,
it was all bullshit.
All bullshit. Yeah.
And like this other bloke there said, the one on the left, all of this critical race theory, decolonising the curriculum, all of this bending over backwards for all of this stuff, and this stuff that's alien to us, that's causing us problems with community cohesion. They've been doing this to accommodate ethnic minorities into this country that actually we didn't need.
But
let that sink in.
And putting our own people at great risk.
Well, of course.
In the meantime, I mean, I do keep on saying to people, and this people some aren't going to like what I've got to say, but I don't give two fucks anymore. Yeah. Okay. So you turn around and you say, yeah, we don't know who these people are. We don't know, their backgrounds, their thing. What else we don't know about them is what have they got disease-wise?
Well, we don't know. We haven't
exactly. So is that the next Black Plague on its way, or something like that?
Well, Babs, there is that new thing, isn't there? That monkeypox.
Yep, but not just that, Wendy. A lot of our old diseases that we eradicated.
Is coming back. Yeah, polio being one of them.
And and that's down to that as well.
Yes, it is. And see what Louisa's wrote there? One of the North London boards has said they've got to prioritise non-English speaking patients because of translator costs. Actually, we don't need to be prioritising none of them, because we shouldn't have been letting any of them in, because the country wasn't relying on them. We didn't need them to shore up our GDP. They've actually been a negative on our GDP, and actually it's been a detrimental effect all round for our country. And this really does need to get out there.
Yep. Well, I put it up on my community page. I've tagged Velly in it. But I mean, this literally is proof that what we've been fighting for, we've been on the right side all along. And I don't know. I mean, this needs to go further. I'm really, really frightened, ladies, about this coming winter for our old people. I mean, I'm not being funny, but it was bad enough a couple of years ago that we had thousands of them being killed off. Is that what's going to happen again this winter? No, it's not on my watch. No.
I don't know, love, but the monkeypox, right? I'm not being funny. But it's I hadn't heard of monkeypox until a few years ago. So where's it come from? What exactly is it? And it's not a natural thing from this country, is it?
Have you seen the pictures of it though, Wendy?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, scary.
They use exactly the same pictures they used to use for measles.
COVID?
Oh, okay.
For what?
You know, but that doesn't mean that it is the same. But
No.
what the health board have put out is the exact same picture that they use for measles.
Oh, right, okay. I was going to say, I wonder if it's along the same sort of lines as chickenpox, because it.
You know,
what I mean?
what's
So-
the shingles? That's it. Not measles, shingles.
Yeah.
Shingles. And they're saying that what it actually is probably shingles. You know, like they said that COVID was fucking the flu.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the conspiracy theory is because of the pictures. But I just think that they've probably just got a very similar rash. That's it.
Oh.
Thing is, shingles is serious. Shingles is bad for for our generation. I mean, obviously, I'm a bit older than you, Jupiter.
Hang on,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, but if you've had measles, you shouldn't get shingles, and if you do, you should get it mildly.
Right.
Because
okay.
because that's why people used to believe, as a mother of 8, I know this. We used to have chickenpox parties and measles parties and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah,
Do do it all while they're young.
Had it. Yeah.
Yeah, do it all while they're young.
Yeah.
So this doesn't look like measles or fucking chickenpox to me.
Let's see it.
I'm showing it now. Can you see it?
Shingles. Oh, I've not seen some of these pictures. I've only seen this one here. See the one there? The 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh.
4, 1 down. That's the same
Oh.
one as they put out for shingles. But that one up there don't look good, does it?
Look at
Yeah. Ooh, that is like bubonic plague or something.
That is
see
nothing I've ever seen as a mother of 4. I'm sorry. Nah.
Yeah, no, I've not seen that either. That's
What is-
weird.
Yeah, what about this?
Ooh, look at that bloke's nose.
Oh, darn.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And this is what these people are bringing over here.
Yeah. Look at these people here. Look at that. No, I've never seen anything.
Yeah,
like that.
no, that's definitely stronger than fucking shingles, isn't it?
Yeah, it's no way that single was. Yeah.
No, it's not.
We.
Oh, look, even in the palms of your hands.
Yeah.
I find it so frustrating. Like, what the fuck?
It actually looks like someone stuck Rice Krispies on them.
It's awful. It's horrible. And
It looks, yeah, go on.
when I've rang the doctors or something, I've been asked a few times, by these nosy receptionists, have you had monkeypox recently? I went, what?
What?
No.
That's mad.
Oh my god, is that going to be the next fucking?
But surely you've got to
lockdown?
have surely you've got to have contact with someone who's got it. And if it's that bad and you can see it, you're not going to go near them, are you?
Well, no, you're not. But it must be something that spreads pretty. What's this?
Yeah, but if you've got it, surely
Yeah, but
it's
is it one of those cases
mean-
that you're contagious, like a couple of days before the actual spots come out?
I don't know. Signs and
one of
symptoms,
those?
Wendy. Let's read it.
Yeah, I'm trying to click on it.
Oh God, look at that! Oh,
I'm gonna have to.
They probably gave it to some people within the fucking COVID. See, Wendy, I know you don't like conspiracies, but I don't fucking trust nobody no more.
no, I don't
There you go.
trust anybody either. No.
Let's go to and find out what this monkeypox is all about. Because, nah, I ain't falling for this. So monkeypox signs and symptoms. Let's have a look then.
the signs and symptoms of monkeypox. So monkeypox is a disease caused by infection with the monkeypox virus. And the monkeypox virus is a pox virus, or more specifically, an orthopox virus. So this causes a characteristic rash and other signs and symptoms we're going to talk about as we go through this lesson. So until recently, this virus was mostly isolated to Central and Western Africa. But as of early 2022, and especially starting in May of 2022, case numbers of this virus began to increase. So prior to more recent
Oh, that's
times,
interesting,
most
isn't it? May
cases of
2022.
this virus were transmitted via contact with animals. Now, this could be infected animals like prairie dogs or other animal reservoirs like Gambian rats. So the cases in Central and Western Africa until recently mostly came from animals, either through handling of animals or consumption of animal meat. But the recent outbreak in 2022 has involved increased human-to-human transmission of this virus. And the transmission of this virus either occurs through direct contact with the lesions, so some of these skin lesions we're going to talk about later on in this lesson, or via respiratory droplets with very close face-to-face contact for long periods of time. So again, respiratory droplets or contact with the lesions themselves. And when an individual does become infected with this virus, the incubation period is roughly 12 days. It can be from a week to 2 weeks or up to about 3 weeks. So it can be up to 20 or 21 days. So the range here is roughly 4 to 20 days. And this virus actually causes a variety of signs and symptoms, and we're going to talk about those as we go through this lesson. So looking at the signs and symptoms of monkeypox, we break this condition down into 2 stages, the pre-eruptive or prodromal stage and the eruptive or exanthem stage. What do those terms mean? So pre-eruptive means that it occurs before the eruption of the skin lesions. So before the rash occurs, it is the pre-rash stage. And this stage occurs 1 to 4 days prior to onset of the rash. So some of the signs and symptoms that occur in this stage include a fever. And this fever is going to cause temperatures of 38.5 degrees Celsius to 40.5 degrees Celsius. And this is the most often first sign or symptom of monkeypox. And along with the fever, chills and drenching sweats can also occur as well. So when a patient gets infected with the monkeypox virus, they have that incubation period we talked about before. So the incubation period is the period of time between when they get infected with the virus and then when they start showing signs and symptoms. So once they pass the incubation period, they can experience a fever, which is going to be the most common first sign of monkeypox. Another common finding in monkeypox during the pre-eruptive or prodromal stage is a headache, and this can often be a very severe headache in patients. Patients can also experience myalgias. Myalgias are muscle aches, and along with these muscle aches, back aches can also occur as well. We can also see anorexia occurring in patients with monkeypox. Anorexia is a term meaning a loss of appetite. And this can actually occur early on in illness. They can feel unwell and they can lose their appetite, and that can lead to this finding. We can also see malaise occurring as well. So malaise is a general feeling of being unwell. This is common with other viral infections. If you have a viral infection, you can often feel generally unwell. And along with the malaise, fatigue can be common too. And then respiratory symptoms can also occur in monkeypox as well. And these include pharyngitis, so a sore throat, so red, sore throat, dyspnea, so dyspnea is shortness of breath, and a cough. And the cough can either be dry or wet, productive or non-productive, meaning that they could cough up phlegm, but in some cases they won't. So it can be dry or wet cough. And then a very important finding in monkeypox is lymphadenopathy. So lymphadenopathy means swollen, tender lymph nodes. So these swollen, tender lymph nodes occur within 2 to 3 days of fever onset. And this is actually going to be the most important sign to distinguish monkeypox from other pox virus conditions like smallpox. And the lymphadenopathy can be generalized, so patients can be noted to have swollen tender lymph nodes throughout their entire body, but particular locations are going to be more common, including the cervical chain. So we can see big swollen tender lymph nodes in the neck. We can also see it in the submental area. So the submental area is under the chin. We can also see it in the submandibular area. So the submandibular area is here below the mandible or below the jawbone. And then we can also see it in the inguinal area as well. So the inguinal area is down in the groin. So those are common locations for these swollen tender lymph nodes to occur. And these lymph nodes can be quite large in patients who get smallpox. So again, very common finding is lymphadenopathy, swollen tender lymph nodes, and this can help distinguish monkeypox from other conditions as well. Once we go past the pre-eruptive stage, we go into the eruptive or exanthem stage. This is the stage involving the rash. So the rash erupts. So skin rash is going to be the finding in this stage. So again, remember that the skin rash occurs about 1 to 4 days after the onset of those symptoms we talked about before. So we could see a fever, and then 1 to 4 days later, we can start to see the rash. And that's going to be important because with monkeypox, fever comes first, then the rash. So fever, then the rash. So again, the skin rash is going to occur within 1 to 4 days of the fever onset, but in some cases, it could be up to 10 days after the fever onset. And then with this rash, the rash is going to begin on the oral mucosa, so inside the mouth and on the tongue, we're going to see this rash occurring, and then it's going to spread to the face and other areas of the body. Some of these areas include the trunk, so we can see it on the chest and the back, the extremities, so the arms and the legs, and the scalp of the head. You can also see it on the palms and soles of the feet. So we can see in this image here, here are the palms of the hands being affected with this rash. And what's important about the more recent cases of monkeypox is that in more recent cases, which have had increased human-to-human transmission, the skin lesions are appearing first in the perianal and genital areas. So this is more common in the more recent cases. This particular skin rash is considered a vesicular or a vesicopustular rash, and we're going to talk about why that is in the next slide. And the lesions are anywhere from 3 to 15 millimeters in diameter. They are well circumscribed, meaning that the skin involving the rash and the surrounding skin are well demarcated. There can be anywhere from few lesions up to thousands of lesions. And they're often going to be centrifugally concentrated, especially if the rash is generalized. So if it's all throughout the whole body, most of the lesions are going to be on the center of the body, so the trunk area as opposed to the extremities. And these lesions develop in stages over the course of 14 to 21 days. And each part of the body will often erupt with skin lesions at different times, but they will all go through the same stage, and we're going to talk about that in the next slide. So what happens with the skin rash is that, as we mentioned before, it goes through particular stages. So after the rash occurs within the mouth, so in the oral mucosa and the tongue, it will then lead to a skin rash. And that rash is going to start out with macules and papules. So macules are going to be flat skin lesions that are less than 10 millimeters in diameter, and papules are going to be raised skin lesions less than 10 millimeters in diameter. So it starts out again with macules, these flat skin lesions, and it takes a couple of days before they start to raise into papules, and then another 1 to 2 days after the papules to turn into vesicles. So vesicles are going to be fluid-filled raised skin lesions, fluid-filled with a clear fluid. And after 1 to 2 days as vesicles, they become pustules, and pustules are going to be raised skin lesions with opaque fluid in them. So it's going to look like a white fluid. So it can be pus-filled, and this is why they're called pustules, and they can often resemble pimples. And they will stay pustules for 5 to 7 days, but during those 5 to 7 days, they can often change their appearance. They can undergo what we call umbilication. Umbilication is when there is a central dot that occurs on the skin lesion. So umbilication comes from the word umbilicus, and umbilicus means a belly button. And essentially what that means is that the skin lesions develop a little belly button. So they get this little central depression in the skin lesion. And then afterwards, they start to diminish and they start to crust. And then over time, they will start to desquamate. So desquamate meaning that they will start to peel off. They will start to shed. So this stage of scabbing, so the crusting and the desquamation, can take another 7 to 14 days. So from the beginning of the macules and papules all the way to the end in the desquamation phase or the shedding of the skin lesions, patients are infective. And as mentioned before, each part of the body can erupt a rash at different times, but they will all go through these stages. So an example would be that if the legs erupted lesions earlier on than the arms, for instance, the legs could all have pustules. So they could all be pustules in the legs, but they may all be vesicles on the arms. So in the particular area of the body, they're all going to be in the same stage, but each part of the body can erupt a rash at different times. And they will all go through these same stages. And some other findings with those skin lesions include pruritus. Pruritus is an itching sensation. So sometimes, in some cases, lesions can be itchy. And there can be other skin issues as well. These include petechiae. So petechiae are little red dots. This can occur or co-occur with the skin lesions. In some cases, in rare cases, the skin lesions can be painful. They're most commonly going to be painless, but in some cases they can be painful. And if they're painful, it is associated with a secondary bacterial infection. You can imagine that if there's some eruption and there's some breaking of the skin from one of those lesions, some bacterial species could get into the break in the skin and cause an infection causing pain. And then in other cases, there can be necrosis and ulceration as well. And then after the skin lesions have progressed and have been shed, there can be scarring that can occur in some patients as well. So scarring can occur in places of previous lesion. And these are known as deep pock scars. So these deep scars can occur in places where the rash or the lesions had been. And overall, the illness can last for 2 to 4 weeks. We mentioned that the
2 to 4
prodromal stage
sounds
can be
longer
anywhere
than
from
that if
1
they're
to
going
4
to
days
erupt
or
all over the
up to
body.
10 days in some cases.
Oh, yeah.
And then we can also see the skin lesions progressing for about 14 to 21 days. So this illness, from the beginning of those prodromal symptoms like a fever, all the way till the last shedding of skin lesions, can be from 2 to 4 weeks. Hope you found this lesson helpful. If you want more information on monkeypox, please check out my full lesson on this topic. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe for more lessons like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and hope to see you next time.
So there you have it. Monkeypox at its best.
Have you heard
So
of anyone
it's,
who's had
uh,
it though? I ain't.
I haven't heard of anyone who's had it, but I've been asked
I haven't.
if I've had it. Yeah. Whenever I got the surgery, have you had when they first asked me, I said, what? Monkeypox? I said, what are you talking
You must
about?
have an outbreak of it up there then or something.
I don't know, love. I went, huh? Do you know when you're shocked? I thought, what the bloody hell is monkeypox? I've never heard of it.
But this is what I was saying before.
It just gets
that
better, doesn't it?
Obviously, when the spots have come out, they're not going to be outside, are they? But a couple of days beforehand, no, they're not going to know. And that's when they're going to pass it on to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like every virusy thing, but it's just, and he said in that it comes from like African countries. So you see the correlation there, Jude. Yeah, with
all the people coming from Africa, we don't know what they've got.
Yeah,
we don't know where they've been. Nothing.
Yeah, they're just going to claim asylum, and you're going to catch it.
Yeah, and if you remember back to the other thing that was out in 2020, you know, do you remember the Kent variant? That used to make me, I mean, I shouldn't have, but it did used to make me giggle when people used to refer to it as the Kent variant, because you didn't have to be Einstein to realize
it was the migrants that were bringing in the new waves. Yeah.
Look what Danny's just said. It's on the list of priorities in A&E.
Matt, there you go, look.
So,
hey.
Hi, Cara.
No wonder they're saying, you know, have you had monkeypox recently? Nah, what the hell's that then? So, you know, it's just going to be on and on and on. And all the time by what these people are saying in this video, it's just going to carry on.
Well, they did say in the last days we're going to get all these diseases and pestilence.
Oh, God. So is there more on this video?
Just a little bit, I think. I think they've said the main bit, but you can listen to it if you want.
You in your last days, honestly. Yeah.
Apparently, you've finessed the figures, which did not include dependents.
Yes, so this is that they're engaged in their own skullduggery because, of course, yes. So when I say that a low-skilled migrant will cost £465,000, that's without their dependents. And of course, we know that the dependents are a much greater cost because they bring over many dependents. And the OBR, I think, aware of how damaging this looked, was also trying to massage the figures here. So, for example, they compared a low-skilled migrant worker You would think they would compare it to the average British worker. Instead, they compared it to the average British person, which means the unemployed, the disabled, and the elderly also got caught into those. I mean, no serious economist would ever compare the average British person to a migrant worker. It's what it's like for like. So yes, even then, the stats are actually even worse than what the OBR have been saying.
Well, why
Yes.
do our political parties, he said naively, whether it's Reform or Conservative Party, why do they not pick this up and run with it? I mean, they don't, do they?
Well, there have been some Reform MPs and Tory MPs on social media who've been pushing this forward, but I suppose they haven't been given a platform in the media to make the case elsewhere.
Yeah. You see, the other thing, the question it begs, it seems to me, as well, is why? Why? One could accept their terms of argument, as I said, if they were just purely on the economic grounds and justifying it. But if that is the case, we know this to be the case, and they knew it, then what have they been up to? Why?
Yeah, I mean, these figures are coming at a time when we really are experiencing the negative effects of mass immigration. Obviously the riots were in response to immigrants and second generation immigrants. Everybody's talking about the rise in crime. It's becoming difficult for people to look away from this problem. And then these figures come out. And obviously it's just going to make people more angry because we're putting up with all of this change to our culture and the rise in crime and the inability for people to get on the housing ladder and so on. And we haven't even had any benefit. And like you say, it's difficult to understand why they did it, if it was just incompetence or if it was something ideological. I don't know.
I think it's driven by ideology, and it isn't driven by something positive. It's driven by something negative, and that's a dislike of Britain, a dislike of the West, a desire to deconstruct everything we are and everything we stand for. So one of the interesting point, Peter, that you've just brought up there, who's talking about this? Who should be talking about this? Well, we had Nigel Farage kind of being cornered by Stephen Edgington talking about
on GB News.
On GB News. But I don't know what viewers think, or I suspect I might know, but he really wasn't saying the kinds of things that I wanted him to say.
Look, I need to stop it there because the thing is, once you're voted in as an MP, you've got to be very careful about what you do talk about. So if people are expecting Farage to come out with the most, incredible stuff, he's not gonna. He's just not going to.
But he could have brought this up, though. He could have kept it very highbrow like they are.
But he won't, Dukes, because how can I put it here? They've all got to toe the line once they're in the House of Commons.
I do know what you mean. It's like us.
Problem.
We still have to be careful with YouTube rules,
Yeah. So to me, the whole system needs to be pulled down and replaced with something. I don't know what, but it's corrupt. It's all corrupt.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's bedtime. Okay, I'm off, ladies.
No, I'm all right, Babs.
Both. And then take care, all of you.
I had a yawn, but that's it. I'm fine.
No, I'm absolutely knackered.
Okay. I've made her tired. Later, Babs.
Thanks for letting me on, Wendy.
That's all right. Yes. Well, I do think that the system, as we know it, it needs to be pulled down and recreated because it's not working for us, is it? It doesn't matter what. It's just not working at all. And
I think that's the one thing we all agree on. Even Bella agrees that the system's broken. It doesn't work, does it?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
It don't work.
No.
When you've got people on a 14-year list waiting to get a yes or no, it's obviously really broken. So we're paying the bill for all that. I mean, it's not just the hotel bills, it's everything else on top of that. Once they're allowed here, they're allowed to bring the family. Some people are disabled. You've got all the close cousin marriages and stuff.
It doesn't even have to be close family. It can be aunts and uncles and anyone really.
I mean, even on G Block, it's been discussed about because of the close, the cousin marriages and all that sort of thing. That you end up with babies that have got disabilities and whatever. It's a lot of money that racks up to. Do you know what I mean? It's everything on top of that. Like people have said, it's when I think it's what you said, Wenda, when they arrive. That is the problem then. And it's everything that comes on top of that. So.
The government have fallen over themselves to accommodate and just give them everything they need, or everything they want, I should say, and demand. Because we know these people will moan if they don't get what they think is right, because I reckon they get classes on their way over, like what you can have and what you can't have and what you can demand. And you can demand this and you can demand that.
They get schooled in Calais.
There's little places that have popped up here, there, and everywhere to help them with all this or whatever. I've been looking at a few myself or whatever.
But the thing is, like they say, if it was, we didn't agree with it, but if it was because they wanted to increase the GDP, a lot of politicians have swallowed that. A lot of people have swallowed that, thinking, well, it makes our country richer. We're getting more money. There's more wealth in the country. But actually, it's a fucking lie.
It's all a lie, yeah.
The moment we've got old age pensioners choosing between heating or eating, we've got an issue, and we need to stop being so charitable and look after our own. It's that simple.
That's quite a worry. I mean, for a fragile woman in her 80s to be sat at home and she's worrying about heating or eating, that's terrible.
They shouldn't have a worry in the world at their age. No. They put everything into the system. It is what it is.
It's bloody disgusting.
Because you've got to remember also with the elderly, a lot of them, they may have family, but they live hundreds of miles away. They never see them. Let's not pretend it doesn't happen, because it does. They never see them. So they're literally living on their own. So who's going to help them? Not the fucking government. It's ridiculous.
Even the care industry, it's flooded with people that don't know what they're doing. They haven't even got a clue. I mean, I'm very clued into the care industry or whatever. And some of the stuff that goes on is just despicable.
Yeah.
What do you mean, like what the people that go out and help people in that, like
in their houses?
Yeah.
I've seen some of the stories of it. The press went. It's quite disgusting. You'll get people robbing off the old people. You're getting them beating them. You're getting them ignoring them, and even the very best of them are being given slots of about 15 minutes, and they haven't got time to do everything they need to do.
Yeah.
Oh my God. 15 minutes to see to a
Yeah, go in, wash them, and give them a meal. Well, you don't feed them, but in some cases you're supposed to. But go in, wash them, and give them a meal.
What's the bloody answer then? Because we can't. Well, we will have to, I guess. But really, because this country's going to go down. It's as simple as that. What's the answer? How can we stop it from carrying on in the same, way?
Well, unfortunately, if people are not going to stand together from all the communities to face the government out, and it don't look like they're going to, because everybody keeps screaming about how they're suffering, rather than admitting that everybody's suffering.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have to become very insular, aren't you?
That is exactly what's needed. People need to find unity on a few things that they can agree on. If we can't do that, then we're all fucked, to be honest.
Well, we are. And I can't believe that people, Jubilee, I hate that word, communities, right? I'd rather use society.
But there's only a community, isn't there?
Yeah, but I just like, anyway, society or community. How they stand there and moan that they're the only ones that are suffering. No, a lot of people in this country are suffering at a lot of things. We're all suffering with the same thing: cost of living, not enough infrastructure, not enough doctors, not enough dentists, not enough anything, because this country is over full. There's too many people in it.
Yeah, but how do you stand with people that just want to keep letting more and more in because they're stupid?
Well, that's where the you have to part the ways, Dupes, because I couldn't stand with someone that just wants to keep letting more and more people.
Exactly, it don't make sense.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't do that. Why they want to let more people? I reckon these people must live in some sort of fucking Dolly Daydream world, you know. Why would they want to let more?
I'll tell you what I think it is. They honestly think that when the people are coming in, they're taken away from the rich white people. They don't understand that not all white people are rich.
But the very rich white people, Jupiter, are leaving this country because they're sick of it.
Well, they're doing what we should be doing, and that's protecting ourselves. Look, it's a dog-eat-dog world now. I'm sorry, but it is. People have to recognise when the time comes to put yourself first.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like when you're... Well, you would know. You've been a single parent. If you're a single parent and you've got children and you're looking after them and you get ill, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be fit enough to look after them in the future.
Oh yeah, when my kids were younger, my main worry was always I mustn't get ill. I mustn't get it. Do you know what I mean? Because there was nobody else.
Yeah. So you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to make sure that you're not overburdened. You've got to make sure that you can manage things. You know, and this is the case here. We are overburdened. We have got people coming in that we can't be dealing with. We do need to be prioritising our own. And I suspect this is what the government actually wants. If it carries on, people won't even be thinking about their society or their community. They will just become really insular and just look after their own family, because that is where they do have control. They have control amongst their own family and their own families, and they'll just work the network from there, and then hopefully you'll have friends that might join on from there. I mean, this is why I say I'm lucky I've got such a massive family. But I can't imagine what it must be like for people that haven't.
But when you think about everything about this going years back, right, before we were even born, for it to get to this state now, I
never, ever imagined it to be like this.
No.
Not at all. And I've often said if I'd have known it was going to be this bad, I don't know if I'd have had any kids. And I love children. I love the fact that I've got a big family. But I look around and I really worry, Wendy.
Yeah.
After I'm gone, the worse of things are going to happen. But I have to keep telling myself I won't be around to see it, and there's not going to be a lot I can do. I can only do what I can do now, and that's it. You know. But it's awful.
It's not little things. It's the big things that are going wrong. It's not little things like the fucking corner shop shut. It's the big things that we rely on that is going wrong for people. You know.
Well, the healthcare's collapsing. We're going back to Victorian times.
Yeah.
It won't be long before we've got overcrowding. We've got people's toilets that are not being repaired. We've got fucking sewers fucking gushing out into the streets. I mean, all of it just seems to be taking us backwards and not forwards.
And another thing that's pissing me off, right, is how much these MPs pay themselves in expenses. That all has to go. I know it's not going to go, but to me, it all has to go.
But they can certainly cut back on their electricity and gas bills.
Yeah, why should they get expenses for that?
I mean, do you remember a few years back when it was, I think it was Labour actually, when one of them claimed for a duck house?
I do, yeah, when it was the Telegraph that exposed it all, and they were going around claiming for duck houses, for their gardeners, for a maid, everything, and it's still being allowed to go on. So why has it been allowed to go on, and why can somebody not stop it?
Well, they made a big drama of walking down the road from one office to the other office. Oh, we're just a man of the people. You're relying bullshitters.
Yeah. Because I'm telling you, anyone that goes into that House of Commons, they will be claiming the same damn expenses. You right? Oh,
Wendy, there's some people that was literally getting up, just clocking in and going home.
Yeah, yeah.
And getting paid the same money for one day as somebody was earning working in a local shop. That's how out of touch they are.
I just don't see. I can't.
Particular.
For the first
community
time,
or whatever.
I just can't see the answer to it all.
Well, it's the government. It's one of them, isn't it? You've got to look who's allowing these things to happen.
Yeah, and as that forum just said, that video just said, it's been government after government that have lied.
Yeah.
You know, that story of, oh, you know, the immigrants, they give us so much, they contribute so much, and oh dear, no, they don't. It's actually cost us to keep them here.
Yep.
I mean, people say, "Oh, it's conspiracy theory and all that, these agendas and whatever." But to be fair, they do all seem to be coming out, don't they? So, I don't know.
Well, stuff I used to think was conspiracy theory 10 years ago is actually happening. So that kind of thing now, I've got to try and see which is the conspiracy theory and which is not.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know.
But I can remember coming on here telling you about Agenda 2030 and you telling me to stop being silly.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I woke up to that.
You can only see it when you can see it with your own eyes, can't you? Though. Sometimes.
Yeah. And it is worrying what is going on, and I know for a fact they're going to privatise the NHS. We're all going to end up having to pay for it in another way.
Yep. Yep.
Something like America. You know how they pay for it over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not good, is it? I mean, my family went over to America for a big wedding in the family. I didn't go, but they went. And when my mum come back, she said, "Oh, I'd never go to America again." She was awful.
Yeah.
And I think that was Florida, actually. And she said there were people all over the road holding up signs saying that they needed money for drugs. And my mum said, "Oh, God, that's disgusting. That's blatant. I know there's drug takers in our country, but they wouldn't sit there." And like the sister in that said, "No, Mum, they mean prescribed drugs, like tablets." And she was like, "Oh my God." Yeah. And so she went over and talked to some of them. Some of them, they wanted tablets for kidney problems or, you know, all the stuff that over here you would get. But
okay, so I have this thyroid problem, right? I've been in forums with people who live in America and they've got the same like thyroid problem, but their insurance has ran out, you know, what they pay. And do you know what? The minute it runs out, Jupiter, even though they need that tablet to stay alive, they do not get it. They will not be given it.
That's disgusting.
Is that what we're heading for? Is it? Do you see what I mean?
I think we're in for a real big disaster in the future, Wendy. I think we're going to see a lot more children dying at childbirth because people are going to be having babies. If you think about the NHS, right, one of the best things about, or should have been one of the best things about the NHS, was that at least you was guaranteed that when you had a child, you were safe. Yeah.
They can't guarantee that anymore.
No, well, we're at the bottom of the league in Europe anyway.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, we're at the bottom anyway. And do you remember when they started saying about a year ago that they were going to try telling the mothers not to have pain relief? Do you remember?
Yes, yeah.
It's already started. That's why I kept saying the NHS is gone. But you think about it, we're going to go back to when you had the old local midwife or someone in the community that knows what they're doing. And
delivering babies, yeah.
Yeah, people won't be able to afford to have somebody deliver them, and all of the rest of it. You've got to look back to the past and say that's where they're taking us. Literally, if the system goes, look back to before the system.
Now there's about 70,000 people in this country with a vaccination injury from a certain vaccination, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people dismiss it. Oh, well, that's just that. But that's 70,000 people.
Wendy, that's gone mainstream. I read the story last week where they said they're not even covering it up now.
Yeah.
Some people have been disabled by it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
What makes me really angry are the young ones. When a young person, I don't know, has had their whole life changed because, you know, they did what they thought was right, blah, blah, blah. And now they'll suffer for the rest of their lives for how long they've got left.
Well, I don't really like talking about this because some people will think that I'm being an alarmist and a scaremonger, but you know all the conspiracies to do with that jab.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But then look at the jab before that. There was that HPV thing. Now knowing that when they gave out the most recent jab that closed down our country, I'm being careful because I don't want to say the word in case they still sort of like try to take the channel, but because they still do randomly as well.
Yes, I know.
But people were worried about taking it because they were worried about the effects, and people said, no, there won't be any, this, that, and the other. And just look now, there's loads and loads of cases all over the place. It's actually gone mainstream because of some people have had bloated, their faces have bloated up, their bodies have gone bruised and black, and people have been disabled, all weird stuff. It occurred to me, what if all those HPV injections that they gave out, and I'm not saying that they are, this is only just a theory, were actually rather than to protect people, because it went from we're giving it to girls to stop them getting cervical cancer to boys can have it as well, which didn't make sense to me.
Boys can have it?
Yeah, they rolled it out to boys as well.
But and they don't have cervix.
Well, there you go, Wendy. What are they giving it to them for? But they give it to boys as well now. And I sat here and I thought to myself, I wonder if that's to stop people being able to reproduce.
Well, it makes you wonder, because why would you give something for cervical cancer to a boy?
Exactly. And that is what I thought to myself. And then a few weeks ago, bear with me, I know it's a bit of a conspiracy and it's a bit of a stretch, but a few weeks ago, and this one I actually agree with, they said, oh, we're going to get a drug to start sterilising people that are paedophiles and stuff, which I don't mind that. I think, do it.
Yeah, good.
But I thought, I wonder if it's because they've got a batch lot anyway, you know what I mean? Wonder if they already had this planned, all part of the depopulation design, all of it.
Well, it makes you wonder, I never agreed with the MMR thing. Simply because I just didn't agree with it. I heard too much stuff about it, and you still hear stuff about these injections, don't you? But I'm not an injection freak, if you know what I mean. I do believe in the whooping cough and all that crap, and all the, what little babies get.
Oh yeah. I think years ago there was a genuine care to sort of like look after the population. Yeah. I don't know when it changed, Wendy, but it certainly did change. It certainly went skewiff.
Yeah, but the problem is it changed, and then we had we've had the delight of the internet, and unfortunately for people like the government, people are willing to do their own research into everything, Jupiter. So everything isn't staying as closed down as it used to be. Because if you remember right, we had no choice but just believe what was on the fucking TV.
Right, here you go. Look, Wendy.
What,
so you've
love?
got Laura Lynn in your side chat saying, my daughter had that jab at school, yet she tested positive for it on her first smear. So it's not even protecting you. And when they told me, because maybe I shouldn't say this publicly because the next thing they'll be chasing her down for it, but when it was in my child's school, she came home with the letters. I've told you this before. And so I researched it, and there was a lot of, is it narcolepsy, where you fall asleep?
Oh, and yeah, that's it. Yeah.
There was a lot of these teenagers that after they had this particular jab, they were never right again. Some of them fell asleep and were having long bouts of not waking up for a long, long time. Then when they did, they were completely exhausted. They couldn't go to school. And there was loads and loads of stories of these teenagers that were sort of like A students who suddenly just, that's it. They were sleeping all the time. They were ill. It was almost like they had MA and stuff like that. And they became very debilitated. So I said to my daughter, I said, no, I don't really want you to have it. So I sat her down and I said, look, it's your choice because it's not my body, but I don't want you to have it. They're telling you it's for this reason. I don't believe that it will protect you. And I said the main thing as well, it said that it was supposed to protect you because if you was having sex.
Yeah.
And most of these girls were teenagers that shouldn't have been having sex anyway. But I knew that my daughter wasn't. And I was like, well, what's the point? If she's not had no sexual partners, why are you making her take it? Would she need it?
Yeah.
And you had to have a top up every so often. I don't know if people realise that either. That
No,
HPV
was it
is
for
supposed to be top. Yeah,
was
but
it
it's
for
supposed to,
cervical, Jupiter, or ovarian? Which one was it for?
I think it was cervical. And you do have to top it up every so often as well. Or that's what I read for the original one. Maybe they've made it different now because, they progress as they go along. And so I said to her I didn't want her to have it, but it was her choice. And she said, no, I don't want it. She said, I've seen
No.
the stuff. I don't want it. Well, anyway, so I said to her, right, well, I'm not going to sign this letter. I said, you're not having it. Just tell them that I refuse to sign it. You're not having it. So she went to school. All the other girls got called up, gave their letters in, got called up to have their injection. And then they said to her, you've got to go and have your injection. She said, no, my mum refused it. She didn't sign. So they said, well, you can sign it. But I'd already read several stories of where the schools had done this. So when I told her to go to school and tell them I weren't signing it, I said, if they put pressure on you, tell them you can't sign it. I said, they're going to try and make you. And they did. They tried to make her, and she said no. She couldn't sign it. She didn't want it. She absolutely refused to sign it. So do you know what they did? They wrote to my doctor and got my doctor to write to me and say they'd made an appointment and that she has to go and have the injection. We just ignored them.
Yeah, just ignore them. You don't have to do anything.
But yeah, I'm telling you, I reckon a lot of people ended up having those injections under pressure.
Yeah, they certainly did. And I think a lot of the young ones, for the thing that we've just been through, they thought they were helping not spread it, when in fact it didn't actually stop you from spreading it. And all it's managed to do is make a lot of young people die early. Basically.
And then the same thing happened with the last jabs. I didn't want it. I didn't want it. I was so reluctant. I didn't want it. I didn't agree. Something inside me said, don't bother.
Yeah.
But my mother tormented me. Oh, my God. 2 o'clock in the morning, she phoned me up. I can't sleep. What's the matter? Are you in pain, Mum? No, I'm having nightmares. You're going to die. You haven't had this injection. And I haven't got it in me to lie and say to her, look, I've gone and had it if I haven't.
Yeah.
Right? So in the end, I said, all right. I weighed it up and I thought, well, I'm not going to have no more kids. They said some of the side effects was that it could make you sterile.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to have no more kids anyway, so not worried about that part of it. I was worried about other things, but so I said, okay, me and Hector went off and we had it because my mum was insisting. I joke with her now that she's probably killed me. My mum laughs because we've got a dark sense of humour, but she says she wishes she'd listened to me because now she's waking up to a lot of stuff, and she's like, oh, a lot of the things you said to me in the over the years that I've dismissed, it's turned out to be true. She said, and I don't like to admit it, but yeah, she's had 6. She has ended up with 6.
6.
Yeah, well, she had so I had the first one. The day I had it, I thought, oh, I let my mum know. And as I come in and sat down, and I think that some people were given nothing. That's what I truly believe, Wendy.
There's a lot of people think that, you know.
Because when I come home, I didn't feel nothing in my arm, nothing at all.
Neither did I, no.
Right, it was like nothing. And since then, it's like nothing. Same with Hector. But anyway, so I thought I phoned my mum. Just before I was about to ring my mum, Hector put on the TV because he's got this habit. As soon as we walk in, it has to go on, even if you don't watch it. It's really annoying. So it's
like me then.
Yeah, he's always got the news on in the back. So anyway, puts the TV on. Up on the telly, it flashes that you've got to have top-ups.
Yeah.
I've just had a fucking injection, right? I looked at the telly, I went, oh my God, look at that. He went, what? I went, we got to have top. I said, I ain't having a fucking top-up. I went, oh, I wish I'd seen that this morning before we went out. I wouldn't have bothered going to the appointment.
Yeah.
So he looked at me, he said, what do you mean? I thought you said it was all right. I said, well, they said it was 95% safe. They've just proved it's not.
No.
Why do you need the top? So I never bothered with all the others. But my poor mother, she was so frightened by it that she had 6 in the end up, yeah.
See, I was like you. I only had the 1. And as soon as I saw the top-ups and all of these, you may get blood clots, blah, I thought, I ain't having any more.
No point. No point. And there was holes in that right away, though, Wendy. If you look back, right, they were going around. Don't you remember they were going around saying that they thought that it might actually be racist because more black people were dying?
Yes, at the beginning, definitely.
Right? So, I mean, that was definite propaganda. Come on, that's pathetic.
Yeah, it's
Then they allowed Black Lives Matter to go out and do their big protest.
Now, that was a way, you see, I remember thinking, I'm not having any more, but you know how you'd like think, oh, should I? And then all of a sudden that happened and I thought, hang on, there's this killer virus going around and the government have allowed that to be going on in London. This has got to be bullshit. It had to be Jupiter. Why
it had to be bullshit because they were saying that black people were suffering the most and that they were the ones that were suffering the most and it could possibly be racist and all these poor nurses and everything else.
Yeah.
But then they allowed all the black people to go out on the riot, likely to catch it. But what was even more damning when we knew for a fact that it didn't mean fuck all, is that nobody started dropping down dead.
Yeah.
Now, if a load of people, and not that I wished it, but if a load of people from the black community who had gone on these protests suddenly all started dying, you could have said, okay, that backs up what they've been saying. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And then they were saying that they were giving us the injection to protect us. But then they were trying to tell the people that had the injection that the ones that wouldn't have the injection were evil bastards because they're going to make you ill. Well, if you've had something to protect you, how can they make you ill? The only people who are at risk are themselves.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, nah, these bastards are lying to us. But obviously you couldn't say it out loud because you'd end up your channel your channel shut down and you'd be carted off.
You weren't even allowed to mention it. Well, it was a complete, not unless you were for it. If you were for it, you could talk about it all day. But if you
Yeah.
questioned it, no, it was like, you're not going to do that. But when I think back over that period, I just like that Black Lives Matter thing, and people having arguments on buses because of you can't wear a mask, you can wear a mask. And it's been proven that those masks and hand washing all the time it did nothing stupid. It didn't save anyone from anything. And it actually meant nothing.
Probably made things worse because there was probably people that, and I don't mean this in a nasty way to anyone, but there's probably people out there that don't wash their hands after every time they go to the toilet or touch a doorknob. And so they were suddenly going from, and I learned this on a course years ago when I went on a childcare course so that I could look after kids. You know, somebody can have a really dirty home, and they used to tell you to be very careful about how you interfered with the children's bottles, because if you over cleanse them, you had to keep them clean, but if you over cleanse them when the parents weren't necessarily very hygienic, you could actually make the child ill. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because it's like they're going to a completely new environment. It's weird. Yeah, so you have to keep it pretty balanced, you know. But yeah, so you probably had people whose immune systems dropped.
Yeah.
Because of the over cleanliness and stuff, which made them vulnerable.
I mean, look at Luke's comment now. I'll put the thing. It triggered some mental breakdown in my mum's mate. She was constantly watching the news at first. Then she went, Luke does make me laugh. Then she went cuckoo and still is. She doesn't leave the house and hasn't bathed for a year. See?
Yeah, I can believe that.
It's not funny, is it really? It's just his language that makes me laugh, went cuckoo. That's sad.
I can believe it though, Wendy, because I've got one sister that still insists on wearing a mask whenever she goes out. It's made made her terrified of germs. And I say to her, what are you doing now? I mean, she used to get really upset with me because I never ever wore a mask, did I? And I'll tell you something funny I didn't realise. So me, because I was carrying on like normal, and I weren't bothered, and most of my neighbours were carrying on like normal, my local shop, they didn't fucking enforce standing in queues or nothing. I thought, to me, it was only half happening, if you know what I mean. So this day we had to go over to visit one of my kids. I think I had to babysit because one of them was doing something. And on the way we stopped off to get petrol. Well, at the petrol station, they were enforcing masks and they were enforcing a line, right? But because in my world it weren't real, because I wasn't even thinking, I just walked straight into the shop, picked up what I was getting and went up to the till to pay for it. The woman took the money and I marched out. When I got outside, Hector went, you do realise you were supposed to have gone one way? And you were supposed to have stood behind all those people.
All the others. Yeah.
And when I looked back, there was about 6 people with masks on, glaring at me with their eyes over the top of their masks. Oh, don't. But the thing is, none of them said a fucking word to me. They were probably scared because I didn't have a mask on that I might go crazy and then they'd get germs or something.
But that rule of, was it 6 meters of staying apart? I mean, that was silly as well. What, this virus then, it moved individually, did it? 6 meters apart and all the rest. It was nutty. When you think back, you think, this can't. And what was Sainsbury's and people that worked in Tesco's, they must have been immune from it because they were always at work.
Yeah, but I think that they were particularly cruel though, because when you think that some people couldn't see their mum in nursing homes, I'll never forget, forget the image of that woman who went to visit her mum, and she was concerned because her mum looked like she was wasting away and hadn't had her hair done and stuff. And she was talking to her mum through the window saying, Mum, are you all right? You don't look well. And the mum didn't seem to recognise her. And she said, I'm a bit concerned about my mum. They shut the curtains.
Yeah.
I was like, you fucking bastards. Do you know what I mean? How could you do that? But
a lot of the elderly did die. It came out, didn't it? That they were the most ones that did unfortunately die.
And then you couldn't have the decent funeral. You weren't allowed more than 6 people. Think about it, Wendy. Our Queen had to bury her husband alone. I'll never forgive the politicians for that, whether I'm a royalist or not.
No.
I think that's got to be one of the cruelest things to do to somebody that gave her whole life to a nation. I know people think, oh, yeah, well, she had a privileged life. Well, not really. Not if every day you know you've got to get up.
Go out and smile at people. I mean, please, come on.
Yeah, and you've got to do a certain routine, and you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do it a certain way. You've got to wear this, you've got to wear that. You've got no free choice at all. People think that they have, but they haven't. And to think that she did all that, she went through the Second World War.
Yeah.
She got put on the throne when she was, you know, it shouldn't have even been her on the throne if you think about it, you know.
Yeah, how things went, yeah.
Yeah. And she put herself into service, and then she couldn't even bury her husband with her family around her for support. I thought that was disgusting. I
always think how strange it was that Prince Philip and the Queen, after being injected with something, both died. Think about it, James. Yeah, they both passed away, and it didn't take long, did it? Really? And they were very elderly, weren't they? I often think that.
Not only that, who were the other people that went public showing us having their injections in the royal family? And look at what they've got now.
Oh yeah, there was Charles. Yeah.
Just think about it.
But when you live in it, you sometimes you don't see these things, do you? You know what I mean? You just don't see what's staring you in the face.
Of course you don't, because you want to put trust in other people.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I think that we've got fucking psychopaths running the fucking madhouse. And I do honestly believe that, Wendy. I think there's a lot of people. I mean, you think people weren't allowed to bury their parents?
No.
You know, people were giving birth. You know this. People were giving birth and being threatened. If they didn't take the injection, they couldn't have their baby.
My daughter-in-law, she was threatened with that.
I mean, dads were banned from being at the birth. That's all a bit strange as well, don't you think?
Very strange.
And you think back, why did they need to go that far?
Well, they didn't need to. And this time around, of course, when Scarlett was born, he was allowed at the birth, blah, blah, blah. But during that time, when she was going for checkups, these damn checkups you've got to go to when you're pregnant, he was never allowed in. I said, well, why? If she's allowed in, why ain't he allowed to go in with her? Because she was very nervous anyway, first pregnancy and everything. And but no, he could, whatever. And then, of course, at the end, when she'd had the baby, she thought she was going home, but she was told, no, not if you don't have this injection.
And then all the do not resuscitates. They made a whole heap of people feel guilty into saying, oh, well, if anything happens to me, don't resuscitate me, because think about the younger people. So you have people from their 50s upwards sacrificing themselves for nothing.
Yeah. Basically what it was a bad flu. And it was a man-made flu. I always believe that. I'm always going to...
I think it existed, but I don't think... Because it's funny how the flu disappeared for the fucking 2 years we were supposed to have that.
Exactly, Jude. So I think, they were messing around with the flu in a lab. Then they found how to get one flu to jump from another flu or something, and it got out, right? And it was a bit worse than the ordinary flu. and somehow it went completely worldwide. So then it became a pandemic, and people all over the world were living strange lives, Jupiter. And do you know everyone in Israel has had that injection?
So they say, but do we know if they've really had that or not? We only know they've had an injection.
Well, it was mandated that they had to have it, whether it was an injection, whether it was water, or it was mandated that they all had to have it. And then I'll never forget Italy. I can remember the news when Italy got it bad. You know, in came the broadcasters, you know, following doctors around in these hospitals in Italy for about 3 days, and then all of a sudden nothing. Oh well, Italy's back to normal. It just didn't add up. It was the more it just
none of it added up. Do you know what else? Two other things, and people say that I'm lying about this, but it's not. It's the truth. I think I told you in private. Hector's got several doctor friends. And one of them, he said to his doctor friend, "Look, this thing, is it real?" And he said, "Look," he said, "I can't say whether it's real or not." He said, "There's definitely people coming in with respiratory problems." He said, "But they're ordering us to put down that for death of even people in motorcycle accidents."
Yeah.
He said, "And that's not normal." And that's when I thought, fucking hell, this is really weird. I said, so effectively he's saying he's got his doubts, but he can't say it because he's a proper doctor, basically.
Of course, yeah.
And
it's
if he
like
went
my doctor, when I rang him that time, when I was being forced by my family, you know, to think about getting a second job. And I said, no. I said, I'm going to ring the doctor. So I rang the doctor. I said, do you think I should have it? And I wanted the doctor to say yes or no. Right?
Yeah.
And he went, look, what you've got to do is you've got to think, is it real? And will it work? Now, Jupiter, I'm not being funny. When a doctor says that to you, I put the phone down and I just thought, I'm not having it.
Yeah, there was no point. But, I mean, it was that. And the other thing, we phoned his dad in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
Now, as much as there's very rich people in Nigeria and some really nice places, there's also great poverty.
Yeah, I know.
And Hector said to him, you know the places which is poverty ridden, and that, are they having many deaths? Is there lots of people dying?
No.
And he said no.
No, I know there weren't.
And when he said no, we were like, well, why not? You're telling us it's down to germs. You're telling us that it's highly contagious. You're telling us that people have got to wear masks, stay away from each other. Yet all these people are not doing that and they're not dying.
Exactly.
Hold on a minute. There's something fucking wrong here. But Wendy, didn't you find it funny as well that it wasn't like an illness that, say, started in Spain and then gradually spread across, and then someone took it here, there, or everywhere. All of a sudden, it was just everywhere, all at once.
Everywhere. Yeah, I did find it really strange. Yeah. Do you remember those ships that were like stranded and no one was allowed to leave the ship? Because all of a sudden there was this 2-week incubation period where then all of a sudden you could walk off the ship.
Yeah.
It was all strange.
And remember, they didn't shut down the fucking airports. They had all those people coming in from India, not even with suitcases. Do you remember?
Yeah, I can verify on the Holy Bible that the airports were not shut down, and that all the planes were coming in as usual, and they should have been shut down if it was real. It would have been.
Yeah, none of it made sense, and I was like, no, this ain't wrong here. This ain't definitely wrong. And I think a lot of the people that held out didn't have none at all. Were probably the most sensiblest. But anyway, so when it came to my kids, I kind of didn't really endorse it with them. I didn't push them like my mum did me. And I think only 2 of them have had it. The rest of them haven't.
No, I mean, me.
And they never had the second one. Those the other two, they never had the second one.
I couldn't stop mine from getting it, and I would say, look, and they would go, no, we have to have it. But when it came to they had the second one, and then it was the one after that, and because they think for themselves. They think, oh, how many have we got to have? And then they didn't have any more after that. But no, they were, because all they watch is mainstream media. They were believing everything that was coming at them. They don't now. They say, I mean, I think they say it because they had it. They say, oh, I think it was just water they were injecting into us.
Well, I think that, but we'll never know because, well, we will eventually, but probably after we're dead, the figures will come out for our grandchildren, what actually happened and what they've done. Now disgusting it is. But,
and all this, this 6 meter thing, those things, Jupiter, they didn't come up with this, because that's what it is. When I was researching the 1918 flu, right, the Spanish flu, all those things were put in place for that. So all the government did was take what they'd done in 1918 and put it into 1920, you know what I'm saying, don't you?
Yeah.
Put it into like our times now. Now, how would that work then? Because
whatever happened to the pop-up hospitals that they had with hundreds of beds in? Have they used that for immigration or something?
Well, I think they've been took down, haven't they? Nightingale, one was called, and
I don't know, but a bit weird, isn't it? And when you think back, weren't it funny at 2012 that what they were celebrating was hospitals and big fucking injections and stuff?
Well, yeah, see, that's where I go right off and think now, because the National Health Service and the Olympics was something to celebrate. But if I wanted to, I could easily have the same thoughts you're having, Jukes. If
Well, I'll tell you what else was weird. What about the people that were dressed in white? Who was it that opened the ceremony? And now you've got P. Diddy and all this fucking stuff, all dressed in white suits and all the rest of it of his parties. A lot of it's weird. A lot of the stuff, you could go back and look at it and think, oh, that's a bit similar to what's going on now.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I do think people read too much into some things and not enough into other things. Like, I don't know, the thing that Dell was on about the other night, right? They get to a certain and then they got to be took out. I can't go with that. It's no. I just think they get to a point where they have that much money, they get so bored, they get up to things they shouldn't have got, they shouldn't even think of. They shouldn't even, and do you know what I mean? And I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
And then they get caught like they should.
Yeah. Yeah, but Wendy, they had us every Thursday. Well, I didn't do it. I think I did it maybe once. Coming out, banging pots and pans for the NHS. Meanwhile, they were having birthday parties and drinking champagne.
No, I didn't do that at all. No.
But this is what I'm saying. It's weird. It's weird what they were getting people to do. All of it was weird. Trance-like, odd, strange, pathetic. What really went through their minds? And I don't care what anyone says. That was the collapse of the NHS, and they.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely. And can you remember when? It's not funny, but when Boris was going to cancel Christmas and he didn't. He decided we could all live in a bubble. You can have about 8 people around for Christmas. Open your windows and you'll be safe. I mean,
oh yeah,
come on.
Yeah, but that was mad as well. If you went to a pub, you weren't. You had to prove that you'd had the vaccination and you had to show it on your phone or whatever. But if you ordered a pint, you were safe. You didn't have to do it or something like that. It's weird. Or if you was eating,
Yeah,
Weird.
I went out for a meal with one of my sons and his wife, and I remember I walked in and I was a bit like you. I didn't take any notice of what was going on. I still carried on as normal kind of thing. And he says, my son says, no, you've got to wait. You can't just go and sit down now. You've got to wait, and then you've got to wait for this, and you've got to wait for that. And
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and the bloody waiter would come up fully masked. You know what I mean? I was fucking stupid.
Yeah, mental. Absolutely mental. Crazy. I can remember I went to Speaker's Corner without a mask during it, but a lot of people there were wearing it. Odd. It was very, very odd. Everybody was odd. It was a very odd time. You know.
A lot of people were very scared, weren't they? Very, very scared.
Yeah, they were. But yeah, the valves are certainly being lifted all over the place, aren't they?
Yeah. Because, you know, they can only lie for so long before the public find out. Have you seen that? Have you seen the video of Mike Tyson and P. Diddy?
Yeah, I see it. You showed me it. Well, no, you didn't show me it. I got the notification, the one you put out.
I mean, what did Tyson know? Come on, what?
Well, it appears he knew a lot. But I was saying to someone today, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because we were looking. Did you see my show today? I think you must have been recording. I was on Jupiter Affiliated too.
Ah, right. Okay. No, I didn't then. All right.
Well, he even turned up and he gave me some videos to play, and it was all about the Nation of Islam. Actually, you'll be interested in it because I'm going to look deeper into it, Wendy. I really think you need to as well. You're a better researcher than me. And all this Yaqub business and what they believe and all the stuff they believe. I knew roughly about it from years ago. But having another look at it and what Louis Farrakhan's been putting out there and the pure racism against white people, it's funny how the rhetoric actually matches up with what some people say on the panels.
Right.
Yeah, it was very interesting. That's why try have a look at it if you can. Yeah, and I was saying, you know, all the stuff, and there's a lot of paedophilia involved in it as well. The prophet Elijah and all these other people, and the person that first thought of the story that they all go by, he turned out to be a paedophile. Quite a few of them. There was a lot of sexual abuse. And it seems to me that a lot of these cults always seem to have a lot of sexual abuse. And I was saying on that show, I've got no proof for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if all of this stuff that's going on with P. Diddy and all these people, because he's only the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be a load of more heads to roll, it's obvious. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not to do with Freemasonry, but more to do with this Nation of Islam stuff.
Oh, well, we'll have to have a look at it then.
Oh, yeah. And basically, yeah, you will have to. Their hatred for the Jews as well. Yeah, it's all there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was all there. It was interesting. But I want to have a deeper look at it. But it was Heathen who brought it to me. He said, because he said, have you seen this? He said, I come across it, and the first thing I thought of was cow. So we had to look at it, and I was like, yeah, I can see why he says that.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
I'll have to take a look at that then.
There's some very odd things going on. Lots of things seem to be fitting together all over the place. But you know who used to be big on the story of that Maku? And as I was listening to it...
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah. As I was listening to it, I was like, now I know where he's getting his pseudoscience, because this is the kind of pseudoscience that they had. And they mentioned Dr. York as well. And Dr. York was Maku's hero. But he turned out to be another paedophile. Another one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Because that Maku has some strange beliefs, doesn't he?
Do you know that he reckons his what was his name? Adebayo or whatever his name was, that killer of Lee Rigby's cousin.
Oh, please.
He actually said that on his stream a few months back. He said that it was his cousin. He didn't know it was his cousin. His mum told him after he got arrested, "Oh, you do know that's your cousin."
Well, it's funny because also he was best friends with that guy that got who was accused of murdering PC Blakelock.
Well, that's weird as well, isn't it? If he's saying that.
Come on, Jubes. Yeah, I remember him saying that, right? And I thought, yeah, okay. And then I heard about the Lee Rigby connection with him as well. And I thought, I'm not believing this bullshit anymore. It's too much, Jupiter. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. Yeah. And there's a lot like that on there, isn't it? That say stupid things.
Why you'd think, why on earth he'd want to be connected to it is beyond me. But he used to, I remember when he was saying about the PC Blakelock thing, he was like proud of it,
Mm.
He's a very strange individual. I don't care what anyone says. He's really strange. The things he believes in.
Well, that's it. If you look into that Nation of Islam, it'll tell you why. The story of Yaqub. Yeah, but you'll see it on mine, and then you can go off and type off whatever you want and get the rest of it. But yeah, the other thing was, and I need to ask Moon to give me the link again because I forgot to keep the link, was that Dave came on and he dropped a treaty. I think it was the immigration treaty.
Right.
In detail, a PDF, but there was loads of it. I wanted to read through it. And I forgot to download it.
Oh.
Yeah, so I know Moon's got the link anyway. I'll speak to her tomorrow and get the link off her again. But yeah, that was interesting as well.
So what, Tommy Robinson has published this treaty?
According to Dave, yeah.
Oh, right.
There's a link that was put out for people to have a look at.
I don't know what's going to happen with him, because he's definitely going to get locked up, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of conflicting things going through my head at the moment, and I'm just
At the moment, he's walking through Norway.
He's walking through Norway.
Yeah. You've got to laugh, haven't you?
Why is he walking through Norway?
I think it's just something to do. Do you know what? Because I think he gets I think he's one of these people who has high energy, if you know what I mean. So he's decided to go and walk through Norway. Maybe walking through Norway and on his way back to Great Britain in some way or other. Who knows?
I thought he'd already come in because he showed an aeroplane window. And I think he's already in Britain.
Well, I saw a video today where he was walking through Norway and apparently this couple who was sitting outside a bar recognised him. And he was chatting to them. And I just giggled to myself. I thought, it's this sort of thing that winds the fucking government up,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hello, I'm walking through Norway.
There's a lot of patterns that I'm seeing at the moment, but I just don't want to speak it out at the moment if I'm certain. But yeah.
What do you mean?
Just lots of patterns that I see with a lot of things. But I shall just wait and see. I mean, Danny Tomo, where's he gone?
Yeah, Dan, where's Danny Tomo gone?
I've never followed Danny Tomo. I don't know.
Oh, right. So nobody knows where he's gone since he walked those people into disaster.
What did you make of that, Dan?
I've not actually watched it, to be honest. I literally don't watch anything that Danny Tomo puts out. For me, it's not even. It's just one of them. At the time, he said to Tracy Blackwell, "Oh, I need to make a living out of this, blah blah blah." And I thought, it's just PayPal patriotism. I don't. And then all that come with the Danny Tomo, what Clown World and all that was going on about. Just bad taste. Just bad taste. If I was a supporter of him, that would have made, that.
Yeah.
That in
But
itself
I
would
don't support him anyway, because I'll tell you when I stopped supporting him, when he started well, there was a few things actually. There's quite a lot of stuff that you could actually lay at his feet. So first of all, when Tommy Robinson was away, he did do a protest outside Belmarsh that I thought was pretty decent. But then after that, he seemed to get close to Ralph and a lot of people. Also, do you remember when he went running to Spain and wrote that letter about and not getting paid and how he's on the run? And I thought that was a bit weird. And then he was doing that collection for the lawyers. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Never materialised into anything. Then he went away. Then he come back again. Then there was the story to do with his phone that we all know is not the story that Mandy Mosley put out there. Yeah, but there was still a little bit of fucking kerfuffle there. And then he went away, and then he come back again. And then we had this drama.
Didn't he get involved with some little girl's story up in somewhere? And
that's it. Yeah, he got involved in that, and he put the name out. In a way, though, I have to. I understand why the name was protected for the child. I get it, Wendy, and I get it's against the law. But in a way, for him to get the story out, it's a difficult one, because would people have believed him if he'd have said that this little girl went into care and she was meant to be taken into care for her own protection, and actually when she got into care she was raped?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Would people have believed him if he didn't actually name the child and have the mum speaking? They probably wouldn't have done. But then that's all gone dead completely, isn't it? So that makes you wonder, well, was it ever true? Or was it true and they silenced that mother and just to save the face of the corporation? Nobody knows, because it's all up in the air. Never ever got spoken about again.
And then there was that weird thing that happened at Telford, where he was all involved with the making of the documentaries. And then all of a sudden he puts out this video where he has to walk away and leave. Remember?
Yeah, he said that he was going to go for a break and put his family first. Then he came back.
No, he's not a like. I mean, and remember, he also kidnaps the wrong person.
Yeah.
I mean, just to admit that you actually kidnapped someone is
well, once is a mistake,
isn't it?
But to lead innocent people into an undesignated area, I just think no, that's a step too far. Yeah. And to see the hand signals, I mean, I played it on mine, to see the signals that were given by the man that was standing next to him, the police officer. Other people can try and say, oh, yeah, that's just no, it's not.
No, I've seen it. And you know what I'm like? If I think it's normal, no, that was definitely
That was definite. Yeah, it's definite signals. And the way that he jumped over that fucking wall and fucked off, I was just like, hold on a minute, this is a bit naughty, because there was literally people that had never been on a protest before, that had gone to Tommy's rally on the 26th, really enjoyed themselves, felt British again, were terrified by what had happened to those little girls, wanted to go and do a little bit of a protest and lay flowers at Downing Street. And what they got instead was being kettled and arrested because he led them out of... And it's clear cut. There's no way that he can deny that it was him.
No.
Everybody was in place. He turned up. He started marching. Everyone started following him. He done a little speech, jumped up on the wall, did another bit of a speech, fucked off, and everyone got kettled.
So I think his problem is he wants to be like Tommy Robinson, but he's never going to be like Tommy Robinson. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
They've all had a go, haven't they? James tried the same, and
yeah.
Oh, James was the funniest. I shouldn't laugh at him, but it was the funniest. He went into a debate saying he was a Sith nat and come out an F nat and said he won the debate. I was like, how's that work then? You went in there to argue with Mark Collett and come out on his side and then said that you won the debate. I was like, what?
That was funny, yeah.
I do think certain people get put into it to kind of like mess it up from the inside, to be honest. James would definitely be on the list. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Remember when he went to Liverpool, when he got chased up the tree?
Chased up the tree, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because he went about, his mouth was too big and he just didn't have what it takes. Yeah. But I think the worst bit had to be going into the debate and then coming out on F night. Oh, Christ.
All of it, there's some very bizarre stuff that's happened. Very bizarre. You know, some of it comical and some of it I just think, I don't know. Truth is stranger than fiction sometimes.
Well, yeah, it is. But then there's that picture of Danny, not Danny Tommel, Danny Roscoe. That Mandy and Co, insist was Danny Roscoe with what are they called again? The BNP.
BNP or Nick Martin, wasn't it? When it was Nick Martin or Patriotic Alternative?
Yeah, them.
Tony Martin, was it?
Yeah, and there's a gang of men, and there's this person there of a different colour, and they're insisting it's him. And then you take a better look at it, and it's obviously him, but it's been superimposed onto the photo.
No, he proved it. He proved that it wasn't him at all. When
oh, he did he?
Yeah, he managed.
Yeah, there's definitely something strange about it all, but they still say to this day it's definitely him.
No, those two bastards, I would not trust them, even if I could see even if they pointed at the fucking sea and told me it was blue, I would not trust them. I'm telling you, them two, they have got to be the most vindictive people I've ever met in my life.
Oh, when it comes to Tommy Robinson, yes. Believe me, the hatred is real and it runs deep.
That's the only real part about him, the hate of Tommy Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all that stems down to wanting to be control freaks, wanting to be right, and wanting to run things. Wanting to be somebody's. I don't know what they were in their real lives, and I don't really care, but there's obviously something very failing in both of them.
Can you remember when I said, I wish Tommy had stopped mentioning, when he chats, right, on a video, and he said, I rang my mate so-and-so. Right? Now, for us, he rang a mate that's called so-and-so, and we would go and look up the name. They literally do. They go and look up that name and everything they can find out about that person.
Yeah, but not only that, they do it to everybody that they deem is too close to him.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, they're quite happy to slander literally everybody, and I don't mean just fucking saying silly things on YouTube. I mean actually putting out complete false information. The things that came from that group about Glenn Saffer when his son died, I just that was it for me, Wendy. That was just too much as well.
Well, I didn't hear a lot of that.
Well, then you must remember when Active Patriot come on the panel. And he
Oh,
started going
oh,
on. You know, he started going. Well, you know, the story came from their group, don't you?
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was their group that see the Facebook posts from the daughter, made their own assumption, and got in touch with Active Patriot and said, "Oh, look, Glenn's a nonce,"
Yeah.
and there's the proof.
Danny
It
Jones
weren't-
was running
and
with that story as well.
and it weren't the proof at all.
Mm.
They'd assumed because the daughter used that word that she meant it literally.
Yeah. Instead of-
Forgetting that working class people do actually fucking use that when there's a big age gap. And seeing as her best mate was in her 30s and her dad was in his 60s, you can understand why she did say that, but that doesn't make it illegal and it's not fucking child abuse.
No. Oh, I'm glad you're going to be doing a stream soon, Paris, because I see you're connected with the Holkstead thing as well.
Evening, Paris.
Bloody hell, Hoke said, "Oh, please don't drag all that up again. What's happening now?"
No, I've just read something. Well, not just. I read something. And his name came up in it and I was quite surprised. But then when I show the stream that I made about it, you realise just how involved he was. Mm.
Oh, dear. Well, at least I can't be dragged into that one. It's your investigations and not mine. Well, you know what happens. It's always Jupiter's fault, and I'm never involved, and everyone thinks I always am. I get to blame it. That someone bends over and fucking knocks their head, and it's my fault.
Well, you know, I wasn't looking for it, and it just fell. Oh, you know. Oh, what are you talking about? Well, you'll find out, Paris.
To be honest, as far as I'm aware with Paris, it was more about the flag and the whole whatever. I don't think it was so much. I could be wrong. I don't know.
You are, Dan. I'll put it out and yeah, everyone see just how involved he was.
Oh, God. Even though that's all crazy as well, that people can't just let all that go.
Well, I was like looking at Enav and that Jakey git, and I was looking at this long story, and then that story led me to another story, and then all of a sudden somebody else's name pops up that's very involved, and I thought, oh my God.
There's a lot of them that were in activism elsewhere that have dragged all their baggage over to this area.
Yeah, yeah.
Loads of them.
For me, the problem around that whole situation is lies was told or whatever. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And at the end of the day, for me, lies would only be told when the truth's not good enough. So, it is a bit mad. I mean, the line that Danny Jones was running with was anyone just discussing it, which has been discussed everywhere.
Yeah.
You could all be on a sex offenders register. And it's just simply not true.
No,
Three names was offered up that have gone on sex registers: Matt Taylor, Jake, Sabine McNeil, and none of them have been on the sex offenders register. So it's one of them. Why have they told the lies? You're just literally giving the fuel to the other side of that argument, aren't you?
Well, I mean, remember that guy, that black guy? What was his name? Oh, Jesus.
Eddie is okay.
Yeah, he got all involved and then had to disappear, didn't he?
Yeah. Might have had a little bit to do with me, that, but yeah, he did disappear.
I don't know. To be honest, I think that a lot of people need to mind their own business.
Belly knows Eddie is okay, don't they? I didn't realise that till recently.
Oh, does he? I didn't know that.
Where does he know him from?
He seems to know him around when he was supporting Tommy. Around that period of time. It's a good few years back now.
Oh, right, I get it. So that would have been, yeah.
Eddie is okay. Went to the park a couple of times, didn't he?
Yeah.
Then he went to interview Brian Harvey, which is like completely beyond whatever.
Yeah, but I think that was a genuine, because he used to be with Red Pill Phil, and I think they were genuine that they thought that there was a story there to be told. I don't think they realised, because even me, Wendy, I can remember them going to interviewing him and listening and thinking, there is something amongst all this, but he's not explaining it properly and it's all over the place.
Well, this is what I used to try and do, was try and put it into context and try and make Harvey see that he was making, because he was jingling everything up, everyone was getting confused and nobody knew what he was talking about. But the trouble is with Brian Harvey, he doesn't listen to any advice whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Eddie Is Okay when he was interviewing Brian, and you could tell that Eddie didn't have a clue what he was on about. You know, 1 minute he was talking about Murdoch, the next minute he was just going from one end.
And he was trying to understand it, and I think that's all he ever done. But then a lot of people chased him out of having a say or having a channel, didn't they?
Who? Harvey?
No, Eddie Is Okay.
Yeah, that all happened because he got himself involved in that Homestead thing.
Yeah, he got dragged into it. Yeah.
I remember the last video I saw from Eddie was, I quite liked him. I think he was funny, but he was lying on his sofa listening to his music, saying that someone had broke into his flat next to his computer.
That's right.
Yeah, can you remember? That was the last thing I heard from him.
Yeah, a lot of paranoid people as well, though. But then there's a lot of people that do extraordinary stuff. I mean, as much as I don't like the man, who'd have thought that somebody would actually take the time and effort to go down to Fat Dan's house to cut his cables?
Oh, I always remember Wasp's video.
And that was funny.
Police turned up at Dan's.
That was a funny one as well.
I think that at least took his dog for a walk while they were there, weren't they?
I remember Wasp saying, "No, you got to watch it," and I said, "No, I don't want to," because I didn't like Fat Dan.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't want to watch it. Don't want to watch it. And then I've never laughed so much when he said, "No, just sit. It's not dirty or anything. It's just Fat Dan and the armed police arrived." Oh my God! What? To take it to that level and still be online now talking rubbish, you know?
I've got no sympathy for him because I don't agree with trolling people to that level. I think it's quite disgusting, if I'm truthful. But not.
You got to remember, this is the man that showed his mum laid out in her coffin online.
There's a lot of things that he's done that are fucking despicable, apparently with kids as well.
He exposed himself to a child, didn't he? And then it was all...
Well, allegedly, I've not seen it, but I've heard enough people say it now for me to believe it's probably true.
Yeah.
But it don't help when you've got idiots, though, that actually come and play evidence that can be refuted. You know, clipping stuff. If you've got him on bang to rights on proper stuff, you don't have to add to it by taking things out of context and propaganda, because when someone innocent like me comes along and goes, yeah, but I've heard a longer version of that and you've taken it out of context, they get upset and fucking... And that's literally all I did do. And then I ended up with fucking nutcases following me around saying that I'm sticking up for a paedophile. You know, mental. But these people are mental on here. Honestly, they are. You know?
The only one who I could never go on Wasp's channel if he was on there, and I just wouldn't, because I couldn't. Was it Rick?
Rick Berry. Didn't he do a stream talking to him as well?
I don't know. I wouldn't have nothing to do with that man, because
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure that Wasp did. I didn't watch it, but I'm sure Wasp advertised it.
No, I wasn't interested. No, that man made me feel physically sick. No.
Yeah, but what about the other one who pretended he was Savile? I didn't like that either. I didn't
Didn't
find
like
that
him.
funny.
And when I was on that panel, I used to say, "Wasp, can you tell him to stop it?" Because he
that's creepy. That.
Well, you got to be honest. Wasp, if me or you turned up, would drop down and drop that Savile bloke.
Yeah, you know, he was like he knew that, and he was good like that. But it was creepy the way that guy used to sound like him as well.
I'm sure, Adam, that he did. He might have took one of his footages and reviewed it then. But I'm sure that he had that Rick. He discussed him, or there was a show about him. There was something to do with that Rick Berry, but I can't remember what it was.
Hang on, Adam. No, Adam, you're wrong. Rick was on Wasps because I was going to go on there, and I thought, who's that? And I listened to him talk, and then I realised, I thought, I ain't going on there. And he was on the panel. Yeah, you must have missed it, Adam. Because you know when you think of what a paedophile is, Dukes, right? That man fits that thought, if you know what I mean. He's horrible.
Fucking loads of them that were horrible on there, Wendy, to be truthful. There's a lot of people that go too far near the mark that makes you think you're suspect. But I don't know.
Yeah, he was definitely on there. I mean, I was told it was because they were trying to catch him out, but whatever. I just didn't want to play any part in it or be around that individual at all.
Yeah, but I didn't know. I didn't know then that all the stuff from Eric had been played on Bellies. Why did they do that to you?
I haven't got a clue, to be honest. I was just sent a link saying he was putting something up about me or whatever. I think the video was halfway through. I think it was an 18-minute video or something. And then a minute or two of me being there, it come up like pictures of my son off his Facebook and all this sort of stuff. I don't know what the intention was. I haven't got a clue, to be honest. I asked questions. I asked who's put the video there. I asked who's made the video, and just nobody answered. Then there was a cross wire between me and Deborah, because Deborah said, "Oh, it was my video," and I thought, why would you put that video up? That don't make sense. And then it turned out it wasn't her. That was another video. So that was because she was saying the faces was blurred out or whatever. And I thought, well, the face I've just seen is my son's face. You know, I know my own son or whatever. And it turned out she'd put another video of evidence of, I think he was bleeding heart, attacking people's family members and all this.
Well, how come you became
the target?
How come you became a target on Bellies then? What was that about?
I don't really understand, to be honest. I'm not really too sure. I don't even go over there that much, to be honest.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I've never been on the panel. I'm never really there on comments much, to be honest. Maybe, the odd now and again, but I'm not there every day or anything. So I don't actually understand.
Strange. But they shouldn't be playing videos about whatever.
No. That's what made me laugh when he's going, oh, this is my brother, it's not just someone on panel. I thought, fuck off, you literally have my son on your thing and you're making out his things that he's not. All I said is something about your brother, which actually happened. Is what it is.
All right, so have you fallen out with Eric then?
I've never really known Eric to whatever. For me, he's been pulled in by the likes of Danny Jones and all that lot. And he's obviously got a narrative or whatever. Just the video alone of me outside the Disbury Mosque. he's reduced it right down, cut and short and edited and everything, from a 52-minute video to a 6-minute video. I've said to him loads of times, you've obviously got the full video, put the whole video out. You know, the whole video's on my channel. I'm not ashamed of it, not embarrassed by it. Children was killed at that, you know, from that mosque or whatever at that point.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
Oh, that video.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right.
That was Didsbury Mosque where the Manchester
Yeah,
arena bomber
yeah,
come from.
Oh, okay. Very strange behaviour going on sometimes
Mhm.
in many places.
It's madness, isn't it?
It was just, I just wondered what made you become the target. Because
Yeah,
yesterday I
yeah.
didn't understand what that was all about, and
Mhm.
having a debate, and because it came from nowhere, literally nowhere.
Yeah, this is it. I don't know what goes on in Valley's mind or whatever. I've not got a clue. But I'm not there long enough to kind of make an enemy. It's a bit weird.
Well, I think when people get too invested in what other people are doing, they kind of go nuts for a while, I think.
All I can assume is it's because of the belief that I'm like Team Tommy or whatever. But I did a video over 2 years ago explaining why I'd left Team Tommy or, you know, all that side of things and whatever. So it's just misinformation on their part, for my mind.
Yeah.
Even that, I'm not saying I don't support Tommy. I can see that there's problems around the situation. Information being gathered by people which are not responsible with the data and give it to third parties like Eric or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
some of the videos that he's put out, there's only one place where that information would have come from, and that was me buying T-shirts 2 years previous.
Oh, right. Don't know. Anyway, it's my bedtime, guys, so I was off.
All right, nice one, Wendy. Just so you know, I haven't got an issue with you. I just thought it was a bit mad that he was like digging me out a bit, and I thought, I don't think you're aware of all the facts or whatever.
No, I wasn't aware of all the facts. No.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no beef. No beef.
All right, love. Good.
Okay, doke. All right,
Okay.
nice one for letting me on, Wendy.
Okay, love. Good night.
Take care. Night.
Night.
Night, Jupiter.
I don't know where Dupes has gone.
All right, she's probably making a person. All right, take care.
All right, love. Good night.
All right.
Yeah, so I don't know what's happened to Jupiter. Yeah, so
Oh, sorry, Wendy.
yeah, I'm off to bed now, Dupes. I'm tired, love.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm going to go. Apparently, loads of stuff has kicked off down the road. I heard screaming in the distance. I was like, what's that noise? I went off. I looked out the window. There's all these girls shouting at each other, and I couldn't make head nor tail of it. Then a car pulled up.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to force a girl to get in the car. She didn't want to get in the car. And I'm thinking, I don't like the look of this. And then someone come marching up the road. She said, that's my mum. And I sort of relaxed a little bit, thinking, oh, okay, her mum's here. But they're still out there all crying and wailing. So I've got to see what's going on.
Oh, you're not like me. A fucking an atomic bomb could go off and I just go, yeah, whatever.
No, because it might be someone's daughter that I know or something. So I'm just
would have been local. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what's happening. Fucking hell, you never know these days with the way London is.
No, you don't. All right,
All
then.
right, then. All right, see you all later.
All right, then. Bye.
Night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Wendy. Bye-bye.
That's all right, love. Night, everyone. Don't forget to come back tomorrow night. All of you. Thank you. Good night.